world that we probably don't understand and probably have zero people selling for you, which we could potentially be doing, but we're not doing. We want to let you know, if you go into business for yourself like that, dead. 2 weeks. Gone.
Nobody's happier than Adam Schefter and Timmy Pelissero. I mean, those guys are going to get all of the inside info now.
I will say Tim Pelissero will probably benefit the most from this because I would assume any information that Rappaport gets, he will directly feed right into Tom Pelissero as opposed to Adam Schefter, who I think there is a real competition between that. But you're right. This could be detrimental to Ian Rappaport. Yeah. What will the Rap Sheet's first story be that he breaks whenever he gets off this 2-week suspension from the NFL? It's probably going to be something big. And how many stories is he going to miss these next 2 weeks that he knew about that is probably going to be tough for him to deal with? And you got to think, I'm a person that works on the internet. I'm on my phone a lot. I'd assume I'm addicted to my phone at this point. I want to know everything that's happening. I want to hear every little thing that's going on. Rappaport just has to, sit there, stare at the breaking news, and then sit on it, and then watch the other people do it, and then he just has to refresh his thing, and everybody just kind of dancing in his face at this moment. That's not good for Rappaport. 2 weeks is a hell of a suspension, but it's obviously, hey, nobody else better think about even thinking about doing this. Don't even think about thinking about doing it.
It would be cool if he got the breaking news and sent it to Tom Pelissero, and then Tom tweeted it out and said, "Per." Ian Rappaport.
No way.
Violated suspension.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll say, per my source's source. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then then that's like inadvertently doing it, but I don't know if now is the right time to kind of roll the dice with the NFL, especially with they're going at the insiders like this.
Well, and I'm sure some of them are texting him like, hey, Ian, Dan Quinn just got fired. Oh, wait, never mind. You can't actually tweet this out. What's Tom Pelissero's number?
Or, hey, just want to let you know, what if they start rubbing it in his face, too? Like, hey, you want to let you know, we texted you and Schefter at the same time. Dan Quinn fired. Also, Dimitrov fired.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you can't because of the couple $100 Manscaped ad you probably did. That Roger Goodell said 2 weeks, no tweet.
By the way, I need a new razor. What's your promo code?
What was it, Rap Sheet? I would assume that is what is happening here. I don't think the punishment justifies the crime here, but this is Roger Goodell saying to everybody else, don't even think about selling your own deals. I don't care if we're not selling them. You get paid, right? Yep, shut up. That's wild to me.
Toe the line.
Stern,
but
fair.
If they do it to everybody, I guess it is. I guess it would be fair, but that is definitely what it is. You know, that's just 100% what it is. At Tone Diggs is here. At Boston Connor's here. Ty Schmidt's here. At Viva Lazito currently has a poll on the internet. It's the biggest on the internet. What is it?
Yeah, with 15,000 votes, no big deal. Who's the best undefeated quarterback right now? Aaron Rodgers at 47.5%. Big Ben 7.2%. Mr. Unlimited 33.4%. Josh Allen 11.9%. But Seattle has not waken up yet.
Seattle's starting to roll in with the Mr. Unlimited votes, especially after what happened last night in the fourth quarter. With under 2 minutes left, down 5, what does Russell Wilson do? He feeds DK Metcalf, fourth down, then just keeps it moving, scores a touchdown, beats the Vikings on Adam Thielen's son Asher's birthday. Man. Nobody ever talks about that. When Pete Carroll was celebrating in the locker room, talking about, do you win the game in the first quarter? You can win the game in the second quarter. You can win the game in the third quarter. You can win the game in the fourth quarter. He starts yelling and screaming, which was awesome, by the way. Did they even think about Adam Thielen's kid's birthday?
Probably not. Seriously. I assume not.
Did they even think about Adam Thielen scores 2 touchdowns for his kid? Congratulations, Adam Thielen, being dad of the year and all that. But Russell Wilson and Seattle Seahawks just dump all over that celebration for the Vikings on the road in Seattle with a miraculous comeback in the fourth quarter. It was 13-zip Minnesota Vikings. Everybody thought the Seahawks were potentially dead. Then at that exact same time, LeBron James and the Lakers were winning the NBA title from the bubble. A lot of people, I'm not saying I did this because I love the football, a lot of people popped over to the NBA thing, watched LeBron do his interview, Frank Vogel do his interview, Bouchard do her, you get it. Everybody do their interview, and then came back to the Sunday night football game, and all of a sudden it was 14-13. It was like, whoa, did the Seahawks wake up? Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, they have woken up, by the way. Now we have a game. Dalvin Cook gets hurt. Now we got Madison in there, and on a 4th and an inch, they have a chance to win the game, go up. They're already up enough. They're up 5 or whatever. Seal the game inside the 5. Instead of kicking a field goal to make it 8 points, they get stuffed on a inch line run that they needed Seattle Seahawks goes the other way. Scores, wins the game. See you later. Long trip back to Minnesota from Seattle. That's tough stuff. That's NFL football. The Vikings were almost 2-3. Instead, they're 1-4. Not a great look, but the Vikings were hung tough against the Seahawks.
Can they do it? Do you think they can come back at 1-4 and be a playoff team, or is their season over?
I predicted them to be so at 0-2, I believe. Which team 0-2 do you think will be able to turn around? I thought it was the Vikings, just strictly because last year they had an eerily similar situation where they started out bad, then they got very good and got very hot. If Dalvin Cook is hurt moving forward, I think their odds drop even more than their already incredibly low odds that they're at right now.
Yeah, for some perspective, the 7th place team in the NFC right now being in the playoffs would be the 3-2 Carolina Panthers. So, hey, a lot of football left to be played.
A lot of football left. And the Vikings, I mean, it feels like they're playing the football good. They're having a good time. Just couldn't pick up a half an inch there on 4th down. And I guess with the sky cam shot, which is what we have now, which we didn't have in the past, you can see exactly when players should zig or zag, and it did feel like if he just cuts that thing to the right as opposed to ground and pound, only need a half an inch here. Why am I cutting outside the pocket, which, by the way, is probably something that is taught to running backs. If you only need half a yard, anything less than that, you stay in and you just drive your legs. But he cuts that to the right. He probably scores, by the way.
Yeah.
And now they're up at least 12 at that point. I mean, it's a game of inches. The inch in front of you, the inch behind you, and the inch that's potentially not going to come your way. And Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, is going to get the ball back, drive down, score. That's what Sunday Night Football was. In the middle there, we kind of alluded to it. Congrats to LeBron James for winning his 4th NBA title.
Greatest of all time.
4th MVP. Title MVP.
Wow.
Championship MVP. You get it. Playoffs MVP. Whatever the hell the name is. I know it's named after whatchamacallit, Bill Russell.
Oh, yeah. Go.
Good for Bill. Bill is great. But J.R. Smith becomes a 2-time champ now. Congrats to Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
We love that guy. Charlie Caruso becomes an NBA champion right in front of our eyes. Frank Vogel becomes an NBA champion right in front of our eyes. And LeBron James, in a very calm interview after winning, says, you know, Rob wants his respect. The boys want their respect. Laker Nation wants their respect. Our team wants our respect. And I would like my damn respect, too. I love that since he's been locked up in the bubble, and I assume LeBron James is very much aware of what every human says about him because the world that we're in the team that LeBron James has, and he's very, very self-aware of what a lot of people say about him because he answers a lot of the things that people say about him in interviews without saying that they're saying that about him, right? I mean, if you look at what LeBron James has been able to accomplish, he's been hyped up since he was like 14 years old. He was on the cover of magazines when he was a teenager. He had a shoe deal when he was like 12. He had this Hummer that allegedly disqualified him from going to college, which he was thinking about going and playing for Kentucky or whatever. I mean, he has been a superstar since most kids don't even know how to act as adults. Since 14, he has had the entire world watching him. And all he has done is show up and exceed expectations almost somehow. Somehow, some way, he's exceeded expectations without any real crazy, dramatic PR nightmares happening. Anytime you're a superstar, there's going to be shit that pops up. But what he's been able to accomplish with the limelight on him for so damn long is nothing short of impressive. And all anybody ever wants to say to him, and I think this is what he was referring to, is, well, you don't have 6 like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's got 6 of them things. Michael Jordan, by the way, is the clutchest athlete of all time. Michael Jordan makes everybody better. And then we watch this documentary, documentary series on Michael Jordan, the last whatever the hell dance or whatever. And there's white dude I never heard of burying a 3 to win an NBA Finals game. There's there's Michael Jordan missing a free throw in an NBA Finals game at the end of the game to lose the game. There's a lot of things that revisionist history from the basketball historians conveniently left out to our younger generation that maybe didn't watch or didn't see the Jordan era, because all we ever hear is the way they talk about the way Jordan plays, or we only see the highlights of Michael Jordan. In that documentary, we saw a couple things. Those are just 2 plays, by the way, that Michael Jordan's team let into the documentary. I assume there was plenty more. All you ever hear about is that stuff. You don't hear about how LeBron James is more like Magic Johnson in the way that he plays. He's a facilitator to people. You don't ever hear about how he and Kobe, although they're both Lakers, have two very different approaches to how they're teammates and how they compete. You don't hear about how he's kind of trailblazed his own opportunity. All you ever hear about is, well, this is a new NBA, new style of basketball. You're telling me that the 6'8", 275-pound guy wouldn't have been able to play back in the day whenever they were tough on defense? You don't think he would have been able to adjust his body to dunk on the little white guys that were dribbling the basketball like this? I think basketball is two very different sports from what it was when Michael Jordan, who is a legend, a GOAT, a trailblazer, he absolutely changed basketball in a way that nobody else could have done. The things that he was doing was mesmerizing to humans that loved basketball at the time. But now the entire league is doing a lot of the things that is, and it's a very different game with different rules. But let's not just act like, oh, Jordan, if he played now, would do so great. I agree, he would. He's Michael Jordan, he'd figure it out. But everybody always says that Jordan would do great now. Refuse to believe that if LeBron was back in that era, he'd be fucking unguardable just like he is now. I mean, that's a conversation. That's why I don't think that it's ever warranted like who's better, Jordan or LeBron, because it's two very different basketballs. I think they're both very, very good, both play very differently. But what LeBron's been able to accomplish, I think, as somebody that doesn't know much about the basketball, just kind of watches from outside as a spectator, is nothing short of incredible to be at that high level for so damn long, while the entire world is comparing you to somebody that didn't even have to play basketball that was anywhere near similar to the style that you're playing right now. It's a wild world, and that's why LeBron has like $1 billion in the bank account at this point, and now 4 titles, and probably a couple more if he keeps Anthony Davis in Los Angeles with him.
Yeah, and you mentioned it this morning off air, and I think a lot more people should be talking about it. Maybe they aren't just because it's so recent, but LeBron haters and detractors will just say that like this is a Mickey Mouse version of it, but I think this year's NBA championship arguably is probably going to be the toughest ever.
Locked down.
Yeah.
Now, granted, his penthouse was very nice.
Oh, yeah, but the mental strain of...
You're still locked in there. I mean, it is. They had to sign J.R. Smith, right before they go in there. There's a suspension. I mean, he's the guy at this point. You have to say that by the time LeBron's done, he's in the conversation. We got to move along.
He's won everywhere he's been. He's top 3 in every real playoff stats that matters. I mean, he is the greatest of all time now.
Now, granted, I can see how people say he is punchable because some of the things he says and does, it's like, well, that is, I don't know why he did that. That is pretty tough. Shouldn't have done that. But on the court, let's go. Let's go to, I don't know if it's Briley or Riley in Florida. What's going on?
What's up, man? It is Briley. You got that right. I'm proud of you.
There we go.
Wow. Yeah. My question is what are your boys' Super Bowl picks for this year, now that we're knees deep into this season, the greatest season of all time?
Appreciate that, Briley. I think we covered everything.
Really?
Yeah. Chiefs dead. We talked about that. We haven't talked about the schedule madness. We have talked about Alex Smith a little bit, and we did talk about the Chargers Saints a little bit. Yeah, well, I know you're very busy over there with the poll, but sorry for those that are just listening on SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio channel 82. We have a sidebar that kind of keeps us in track for everything we're supposed to talk about or think that we'll talk about. And Zito puts a check mark next to everything we talked about. Here we are now. I think we've covered everything here, an hour and 17 minutes into the show, which I am pumped about. Normally we don't do that.
That's a record break.
Super Bowl champs right now. I think it changes literally as the weeks go. Cam Newton comes back for the Patriots. Will they potentially go on a run because they can run the rock, just like the Raiders were able to do against the Chiefs? Will they be able to keep up like the Raiders were able to? How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do they continue to go now that they had a week 4 bye week? Will they be able to maintain for another 14 weeks or 13 weeks if they have to? Who knows? With COVID-19 potentially outbreaking anywhere and everywhere at any given time, I don't think we have any clue who's going to be in the Super Bowl, and I think it would be very dumb to predict it, but that's what sports shows do. So I'm going to say that the Green Bay Packers are going to be playing against the AFC winner in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Right here. Monday, October 12th, AFC winner will be playing against the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl down there in Tampa, and I believe it'll be 2 weeks later than we expect it to be right now, said Super Bowl, because we do know that the hotels in Tampa are reserved for an extra month afterwards by the NFL. What's up, Zeke?
So for a player, would they are they affected by a 4-week break? or would they rather play as like not stop?
So I don't know if it'll be 4 weeks. They said that the NFL is considering a week 18 or whatever to make up games for, which is we've been beating that drum very loudly over here for the last like probably 2 weeks at this point. I already thought that at some point they would have mentioned it either today or this week. But the movement that they've been able to do for this NFL schedule, we have a tweet that basically documents the entire thing. The NFL schedule is absolute insanity. Right now, the Denver Broncos at New England Patriots game will be played week 6 on Sunday, October 18th at 1 p.m. instead of happening today, I believe it was supposed to happen. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills, week 6 game moves from Thursday, October 15th to Monday, October 19th at 5 p.m. on Fox, NFL Network, and Amazon. That's a Thursday night game of this week has been moved to Monday night, October 15th. The New York Jets at Miami Dolphins game moves from week 10 to week 6 now to make up for whatever they're thinking with the New York Jets at Los Angeles Chargers game, which moves from week 6 to week 11 on Sunday. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Charger game moves from week 8 to week 7. The Los Angeles Chargers at Denver Bronco game moves from week 11 to week 8. Los Angeles Chargers at Miami Dolphins game moves from week 7 to week 10. And the Miami Dolphins at Denver Bronco game moves from week 6 to week 11. All that to say it's only a matter of time before they add one more week. Los Angeles Chargers' entire schedule was just moved around, and I would assume that's because the team that they had nothing to do with had to affect another team that they had nothing to do with. But how many times will the NFL be able to do this? The schedule makers are making magic right now with the shell game. Keep your eye on the prize here. Let's get all these games done in 17 weeks. When I said by Wednesday they'd be announcing a week 18, I might push that back another week because I didn't know that this particular movement was fucking possible, to be honest with you. But it's only a matter of time before there's a week 18 or a week 19. And I think a lot of the teams are going to hate everything about that. Let's get to a break here on this Monday, October 12th. We're back on the other side with Field Yates, NFL insider. We will ask him if he manscapes. We will ask him if he knows anything about anything going on down there in Atlanta. Who's the next coach to be fired? A lot of people saying it's Gase, but will that guy ever leave? How about Matty Patricia? What's he doing up there in Detroit? The life of an NFL coach is a crazy one, especially if you're not winning games. All that and more with ESPN's NFL insider, Field Yates, on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Mad Dog Radio, Channel 82.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милый. Нет свободных людей для этой работы.
Так. Пока перерывчики.
Здесь нет работы, милорд. Запасы провизии пополняются, сэр. Люди не доверяют вам, сэр. Нет свободных людей для этой работы, милорд.
Сейчас все будет.
Люди покидают нас. Люди не доверяют вам, сэр.
Stronghold.
Нет свободных людей для этой работы. Нет свободных людей для этой работы. Люди доверяют вам, ваша светлость.
И скорость все-таки зависит от этого? Или не зависит? От того, насколько в плюсе.
К нам приходят новые люди. Запасы провизии пополняются, сэр. Наш золотой запас стабилен. Здесь нет работы, милорд. Нас атакуют! Это нельзя здесь нет работы, милорд.
الحصان سريع. اركب مثل الريح. إلى نهايات الأرض.
Так. Народ у нас пошел. Строим дальше.
Здесь нет работы, милорд.
Арен.
Здесь нет работы, милорд.
Ваши указания?
Здесь нет работы, милорд. Здесь нет работы, милорд. Ваша популярность растет.
Запасы дерева слишком малы, сэр.
Блин, где дерево? Ну, нет, так долго
Нет
идти.
свободных людей для этой работы.
О, ферма отстроила. О, ферма. Хижина отстроила.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
Баба, усики идут.
الحصان سريع.
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов,
Так, что у нас
сэр.
поедет?
Доброе утро, ваша
Еще зарядить.
светлость.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Казна пустеет, ваша светлость. Люди восхищаются вами, сэр.
Back. I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, it's great to have you, man. Just don't do any IG stories without ESPN knowing because we can't lose you for 2 weeks like we already did. The wrap-up haul.
Не
The wrap-up
хватает
haul.
запасы провизии
I was staying in the
убывают.
clear
В
there.
казну
Field, I have a
поступают
question,
люди,
and you don't have to answer obviously
восхищаются
because you're
вами.
at different networks. But when one NFL insider goes down,
Не
it
хватает
feels like it is a great time to be an NFL insider because now the stories that are potentially going to somebody who's gone for 2
Не
weeks
хватает
could
рекрутов,
potentially
сэр.
reign
Не
over me,
хватает
and I could be the
рекрутов,
one that
сэр.
breaks
Не
it. Is that an
хватает
accurate statement in the
рекрутов,
insider world or
сэр.
no?
Well, one thing I'll say is that when you're teammates with Schefter, as you well know, like pretty much every story is
Конечно,
funneled through
ты
him as
чё?
it is.
Блин,
So I
лучший вид
sort of
спорта
feel like I'm already
после
got,
мамашки.
pretty much the
Это
entire league on
нельзя здесь
lockdown. So I always
разместить,
feel like
милорд.
I'm in a good position with Adam Schefter on my side.
Well, great answer there, and without doing anything else, and Shefty very much is that
А ты смотришь
dude
этого
in
Пата?
that particular profession.
Пат
But
Макафи?
losing one person in your job for 2 weeks obviously helps you out competitively. Happy you didn't say it. I will say it though. Field, let's talk about the NFL right now. Last night there was rumbles, and this morning I believe it was made official. Dan Quinn and Dimitrov completely out in Atlanta. Now Raheem Morris, I believe, Raheem Morris is now interim head coach. They have a contract with Matt Ryan that owes him $40-some million next year, maybe another
Редко.
40 the year after that, and then 20 after
Я
that.
что-то в Пата вообще
They now
влюбился.
enter a
Как он
rebuilding phase
старается.
with an older quarterback that they owe a lot of money to. What are you hearing? Is
Понятно,
that
что у
plan
него
down there? Are
очень
they gonna
много-
hire somebody that likes Matt
Очень мало
Ryan, or what are they
пояснений
gonna
того,
do?
что он говорит.
Yeah,
Ну,
I
блин,
suspect that
хочешь
whoever
успевать.
is hired as the
نحن
Falcons
نقول
coach
لا
will be someone
جاهزة.
that believes
И
that
вайп
Matt
очень
Ryan still
хороший,
has a
прям
lot
не
of good
могу.
football left in him, because there are moments as recent as last season that you would have said Matt Ryan has plenty of good football left in him. Now he is in the middle of a nasty streak right now. I believe it's 31 straight tries.
Не
The
хватает
Atlanta
рекрутов,
Falcons have
сэр.
gone without a passing touchdown. That dates all the way back
Это
to
нельзя здесь разместить,
9:43 left in the first quarter was the last time that Matt Ryan threw a touchdown pass. So they have been brutal offensively since that
Не
time, and it's
хватает
not lack of
рекрутов,
talent,
сэр.
right? I mean,
Не
they have
хватает
Calvin
рекрутов,
Ridley, a
сэр.
first-round pick from a couple of seasons ago.
Не
Although
хватает
Julio
оружия,
Jones
сэр.
has missed the past 6 quarters, Julio is certainly a big part of their offense. They traded for Hayden Hurst this offseason.
Не
So
хватает
my guess
товаров.
is that a coach that is hired by the Falcons, the preference will be to find someone that can win with Matt Ryan, because as
Это
you know,
нельзя
not only
здесь
has Matt Ryan
разместить,
played
милорд.
well recently, the quarterbacks are aging better than I think we've ever seen them age before. Being 33 years old is not necessarily a quarterback who's on the final year or two of his NFL career.
Who's aging well? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers?
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает
He's 30 years old. You're acting like I would say Phillip Rivers, but what happened yesterday and what happened opening week, it's like, oh, this guy looks dead out there. Maybe
no, totally fair. But like you are seeing quarterbacks make it to 35, 36, 37. It might get a little bit trickier when you get to 40, where we are with Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees. But Big Ben Roethlisberger is playing well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off of major elbow surgery. I just think the teams are they are wired to believe in the possibility of a quarterback aging well. And Matt Ryan, for whatever limitations he's showed over the past few weeks, for the most part has been a very durable quarterback.
Мало?
And I would also remind people that when you are going through the coach hiring process,
Окей. Барбарички, значит, пойдем. Вот так.
but he's also selling you as the why
А что мне происходит?
selected candidate. And if you're going to go in there and tell Arthur Blank, the owner of this Atlanta Falcons franchise, who was just a few years ago playing in the Super Bowl, that it's time to endure tear down and rebuild. If he's not prepared to handle that right now, if he's not prepared mentally to go into a full rebuild, that's going to be a tough sell for a candidate. They still have Matt Ryan. Obviously, Julio Jones makes a ton of money. Hey, a guy like Dante Fowler, 3 years, $48 million this offseason. This is a team that wanted to win as soon as this year, and if they are going to go into a full-on rebuild, that's a huge hard pivot from where they were just 2 months ago going into this season.
Yeah, completely. And all you need, though, is in those interviews is you need, what, 2 hours of charm, and you can become the face of a program. I mean, you've seen a lot of bad general managers get hired, and I think it kind of get exposed over time, but who knows who's going to take that place over. They won't be able to move on Matt Ryan strictly business-wise. Excited to see who gets there. Now, let's talk business-wise. Dak Prescott, franchise tag quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And anytime you talk about the franchise tag, you see a lot of guaranteed money, 31.5 or whatever it was million this year. And I said, listen, if you haven't been able to work out a full deal, instead of sitting out a season, which a lot of people wanted them to do, which, by the way, those particular people are probably taking victory laps this morning, not in a positive way, but saying, hey, we're on the right mind here. The guaranteed money of 1 year for being a franchise tag player comes with some risks. And obviously, if there's a career ender or a career-altering injury, like we could have seen yesterday, now everybody's saying he's on the road to recovery, he already had surgery, he'll be back in 6 months. But what if it's not the Dallas Cowboys? Are you hearing they're going to invest in him after this, or is he potentially going to go to the market? And what team will pay him 30-some million, especially coming off of this injury? Business-wise, I'm not 100% sure if that happens or not.
I think he'll be a Cowboy, and I think probably the franchise tag is the first step in that journey. And I know it's the second tag, and that would inflate his 2021 base salary to $37+ million, which obviously is a ton of money, and it's a huge cap hit for a team that already has a bunch of players under contract. But the way that you heard the organization speak about him yesterday after the game suggests to me that they are planning on a reinvestment in Dak Prescott. And the Jones family, despite the fact that the deal has not gotten done up to this point, has almost always spoken of Dak Prescott as a lifelong Cowboy. He feels like he's a part of their family. So I think the first step is getting an extension done, getting the franchise tag placed on Dak Prescott, which is a placeholder until a franchise, until an extension is done. The reason why I say that is because Dak Prescott had leverage this past year with the franchise tag, but next year he's got even more leverage. So I think he's even better positioned, just from a leverage standpoint, even with this major injury, that he could command a multi-year extension, because the Cowboys can't afford to have a $37 million cap hit on their books in a year where, as we know, the NFL, and we'll see how things shake out in the remaining 12 weeks of the regular season, but the salary cap is going to be predicated upon how much money the NFL makes during the rest of this already unique year. And if the NFL's revenue is not robust, they're going to end up having potentially flat cap, and the less salary cap space available for all NFL teams
الحصان
might
سريع.
actually be for the better for Dak Prescott. I know that sounds odd to say, but it limits the Cowboys' ability to keep him on a 1-year, $37 million cap hit. They might be more inclined and motivated to get a multi-year extension done, understanding they might be conceding something. And I know that this injury is very scary and daunting, and it's not like there are a bunch of obvious quarterbacks that have recently dealt with the situation and come out fine on the other side. But the early indications that I've seen and heard have been that this is an injury that Dak Prescott can overcome and come back and be the same player he was prior to yesterday's gruesome injury. And I know this is one of those things that sounds almost anecdotal, but doesn't it feel like there are a few people you would want to bet against less than Dak Prescott? I mean, the guy has seemingly overcome a ton in his life on the field and off of it and continue to produce at a high level.
I agree completely. And Connor Barwin had the same surgery, I guess. I don't know if his bones were protruding through his skin, but he came back and said, you'll be all right. The rehab is going to be terrible for Dak Prescott. Rehab is going to suck completely, but watching him come back will be amazing, much like it was for Alex Smith yesterday, watching him come back. But whenever you say, like, if you listen to what Jerry was saying afterwards and the Jones family was saying after, you and I both know that means jack shit. That means absolutely nothing. So maybe with the cap coming down or whatever, they'll be able to work out like a Patrick Mahomes deal where it's less money this year until we know the money's back. I hope so. I just fear that the business side of the NFL is an ugly one, and hopefully in Dak's situation, it is not. Let's move on now, shall we? The big conversation this morning is Philip Rivers is dead. I'm a Colts fan. Will you tell me what the hell's going on over there? Are they thinking about Jacoby Brissett at all, or is this Phil Rivers' time to go?
Yeah, I think this remains Phil Rivers' time.
Come on!
Yes. I know.
I love him, but come on!
I mean, the Ronnie Harrison pick six was just one of those plays that you saw it coming a mile away, right? I mean, Philip Rivers just sort of like, it's not even navigating the pocket, but just sort of like slow motioning his way through the pocket. And I could see Ronnie Harrison. I'm just watching the game on TV, and it's like Ronnie Harrison was in the huddle with the Colts prior to that play. Like, I know exactly where this ball is going to be thrown, and it's really tough for Philip Rivers because the Colts have a formula this year that they want to win with, right? They're going to be really good on defense, and not having Darius Leonard obviously made a major mark yesterday, but they still were fine for portions of that game defensively, and they want to be able to run the football a ton. That sounds good on paper for a lot of teams, but when you play teams with an excellent offense, and I mean offense is even better than what we saw from Cleveland yesterday. You think about it, the Chiefs or maybe the Ravens or maybe the Steelers, the way that they're playing right now. That's you have to be playing. You have to basically throwing games on back-to-back Sundays just to make it in the Super Bowl this year coming out of the AFC playoff picture. So Philip Rivers will remain the guy for Indianapolis. They didn't bring him here to give him a short leash, pay him $25 million, obviously, as you know. And, Jacoby Brissett, part of the reason why Philip Rivers was alluring to the Colts is that Jacoby Brissett last year was simply not good enough after signing that 2-year extension just prior to the season.
Quentin Nelson dumped on his leg. Jeez. All right, Phil, let's move on, shall we? Enough hearing about this. I thought you were getting better information there. I love Phil. I hope he figures it out. That guy will throw an interception and not even blink and come out and do it again. Not even a thought of not doing it, which I can let's go ahead and do it. But in this AFC, like you said, it's going to be very difficult to make to where you want to go. Hopefully, he'll be able to figure it out. Can we, before the boys have some questions for you, I just want to ask you one thing. How long do you think the NFL feels like they can just reshuffle games and not add an extra week? The amount of game changes is insane. Week 11 to week 6, week 6 to week 7, week 7 to week 12. Oh, we got this going on. You're playing this team now. Boom, bango. Your bye week's now at this time instead of this time. They're doing an incredible job of being able to juggle the ball here. But at some point, when you keep adding in balls,
активная оборона, они будут руками пинать.
I feel like the
Не нужно, чтобы они руками пинали, пускай бегают. Они так автоматически атакуют.
In the near future, in the very near future, or in the soon-to-be future.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it, those three options. Because you're right. I mean, it feels like we're bound for at least one additional regular season week. But the answer as to how long it'll be will be until the NFL literally has 0 options left. I mean, all of us were scrambling yesterday morning trying to figure out how the NFL could move things around, because it's not just matching up bye weeks and rearranging bye weeks for teams in the future. It's also that you have to be mindful of, you don't want teams, for example, going back-to-back-to-back weeks on the road, or having a team on the West Coast playing back-to-back games on the East Coast, or vice versa. There are other considerations besides just making the bye weeks align. So I think the NFL will exhaust every option to keep us a 16-game and 17-week arrangement, but 1 extra week, 2 extra weeks feels to me like a pretty reasonable concession to make in the grand scheme to get all 16 games played.
Так, господин, передай.
Scheduled for the beginning of February, but sounds like the option was back later in February. Not like Tampa's got a lot of other events on the books at Raymond James Stadium. I believe not until May is when they have their next public event. So we're not going to linger that long. But it just makes sense, right? I mean, while the NFL technically playoff seeding can be determined by winning percentage, it just wouldn't feel right if you had a team make the playoffs going 10-4, while another team goes 10-6 and doesn't make the playoffs. It feels odd to not have all teams play.
Field, was tonight's Pats Broncos game moved strictly because of positive tests out of the Patriots, or was there truth to some reports that the Patriots organization didn't feel comfortable playing tonight because of health?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think those two things are sort of tied together, right? So the Patriots went through injury experience past week. That trip to Kansas City, getting moved back a day, and during a time that was a little bit uncertain, right? I mean, it felt a little bit strange that could have a positive test Saturday morning and then still be prepared to fly on Monday. You're flying the day of the game. You're going to Kansas City to play a game like 4 hours after you landed. Certainly an unconventional week for the Patriots. But from what I understand, these decisions have been motivated by the positive COVID tests that have popped up. And that has been sort of the dictating force behind whether a game is moved, rescheduled, postponed by a week, delayed by a week. But certainly you can sense from players around the NFL right now that although they all knew, or certainly felt like they knew what they were signing up for when they decided to not opt out of the season, that it's a new life when you're actually in it. So some of the concerns that players maybe would have felt comfortable with in August or at the beginning of training camp, feels like some of those bubbling up are making players have to have some extra conversations with, not just their loved ones, but their teammates and their coaches. And this is a unique year, that's for sure. And I think the guys and how they feel about the season, an hour-by-hour evaluation.
COVID is a dictator. COVID's dictator. It is a dictator. I mean, it will go down as one of the worst dictators of all time. Shut down the entire world, COVID did. The interesting thing about players, what they might have been okay with back in August aren't okay with now, I wonder if one of those is not being able to practice, work out, or do anything for 3 days and then being asked to play in the game the next day whenever you could just get your head blown off your shoulders at any given moment. I mean, there's a lot of very interesting things like, these guys aren't allowed to work out anywhere because there's COVID in their building, so you got to run stairs at your house or do a bench press. And then on Sunday, by the way, you're playing against professional athletes that have worked out all. I mean, it is just it is a very interesting time to be alive. What do you got, Boston College?
Vanderfield, the Browns are 4-1. Is it safe to say that Baker is the guy going forward and that they'll offer him a contract extension, or are they going to go to the market as well and see what's available?
Yeah, I think Baker's the guy through at least next year. And what's going to be interesting for the Browns and the all teams is that starting after this season, players drafted in the first round, when they have that fifth-year option exercise, it's guaranteed fully. So if the Browns exercise Baker Mayfield's fifth-year option, it is fully guaranteed. In previous years, we had seen teams exercise those options, but it was only guaranteed for injuries. You think about like the RG3 year, Washington exercised his fifth-year option, and then after he had gotten benched, he became the third-string quarterback and was like the practice squad safety, basically, or the scout team safety. They put him in bubble wrap for most practices because they wanted to protect themselves in the event that he got injured and they owed him whatever it was that fifth-year option was worth. So I think Baker Mayfield has shown enough already, and I think the Browns feel good about the overall trajectory there. And, guys, it's refreshing. I don't want to make the Browns into something they're not yet. I don't think that they're part of the very top tier of the AFC playoffs.
Wow!
But But you know what? I always wonder, like, why does it have to be either Brown in the past 20 years or ready to dethrone the Chiefs, right? Like, can't it be somewhere in between? Right? It feels like just a team that finally has direct.
They couldn't drink beer for like 15 weeks 2 years ago. Remember, they had all the Bud Light was locked up in the city. I mean, right now at 4-1, if I'm a member of the Dog Pound, rightfully so, I am celebrating. We're better than the Chiefs are. Yeah. You saw what the Raiders did to the Chiefs. Look what we just did to the Colts, #1 defense. And if I'm a Dog Pound member, I'm very excited. But it is interesting to say that you think that they'll stick with Baker because that offense has become a very big run offense. They invest in the offensive line. They invest in the running back. They've obviously have their system. Like good defense, Myles Garrett will be a game disruptor. Will run, and then we need a quarterback to spread it. I don't know if they're going to be in the business of paying Baker Mayfield instead of spending that money elsewhere. I'll be intrigued to see how that whole thing works out.
Yeah, but I'll be interested to this. Is like, so if the Browns keep up with what's been a really promising start, let's say they finish somewhere 9-7 to 11-5, somewhere in that range, which seems like that would be a very successful season. Possible. It's going to be really hard to move off of Baker Mayfield if you have that kind of run of success. I just think that would be it'd be a hard sell in the locker room, and what is the opportunity cost too? Like, who are we going to go get now? If the free agent class winds up being stronger than we anticipate, and guys become available, maybe players are available via trade, that changes things. But if you finish 9-7 or better, you're probably picking what, 17th or later in the draft order. So it's not like there's going to be a surefire option available. And at some point, you have to be able to show the players in the building that you're in the business of drafting, developing, and rewarding players who do everything they can. And I think that if Baker Mayfield stays on the path that we've seen right now, hard for me to envision the Browns not sticking with him going into 2021.
Phil, you just mentioned a trade possibly. Last weekend, there were some reports that Dwayne Haskins and Sam Darnold are both potentially on the trading block. Do you see any situation where either one of those guys gets moved this year?
I don't think either one gets moved. And so we can go through each of them individually. With Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen just got hurt this past week. Now he's going to probably play in week 6, but Alex Smith is incredible as yesterday was, and yesterday was incredible. Still you have to be mindful of his health. And I just don't think you can possibly not have 3 quarterbacks on the active roster given their depth chart right now. Do I think that Dwayne Haskins is ever going to emerge as the long-term starting quarterback in Washington? I don't at this point, but I think for at least this year, you have to pad your depth at that position enough to keep him.
Field, before you get to Darnold, what is it about Dwayne Haskins that Ron Rivera doesn't like? He put a C on his chest, so that made me assume everything off the field was good. Playing-wise, you got a very bad team. I don't know what expectations are of it. What is it? Is it the play? Is it everything? Why'd they put the C on him if it's something off the field with Dwayne Haskins?
No, that's a good question because I think the play has not been great, obviously. He hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but he also hasn't been, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL, statistically at least. And so I think one of the things that happens in our business is we can try to dot connect, right? And logically, you would think if the play has been okay, it's not like Kyle Allen was much better in the one half that he filled in. It's not like they have a great group of pass catchers. That offensive line, average running, it makes you wonder, is something happening Monday through Saturday during the preparation period that is not at the standard that Ron Rivera and his staff has? I don't know that. I don't know that for a fact. It's just when a guy gets benched under those circumstances, that's one of the questions that I myself would love to ask Ron Rivera with some true serum inside of him, or anybody who's part of the Washington football team right now. What is it that led to Dwayne Haskins being benched? Because it was a little bit curious in the sense that he's coming off of a game, and I understand that some of these stats can be hollow, but he threw for over 300 yards against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, they lost 31-17, but still, it's atypical for a quarterback to be benched after 300 passing yards in a game.
Agreed. And now Sam Darnold is in a situation where if the Jets trade him, that means they're saying we're sticking with Gase. And if the Jets end up getting rid of Gase, the next GM or head coach is probably not going to want Sam Darnold. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they will. But normally GMs and head coaches have a vision for a team. And if you don't fit it, you don't fit it. With Sam Darnold, it feels like this dude's been given little to no chance at success over there.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line has been dealing with injuries, and it wasn't good already. Wide receiver group has been dealing with injuries all over the yard. Jameson Crowder is really the only dependable pass catcher that he has. He's been awesome in the 3 games he's played. He's also missed 2 more because of injury. I'd be stunned if Sam Darnold was traded during the season for this reason. Who's going to make you a compelling offer for Sam Darnold right now? He hasn't shown you a ton this season. He's now dealing with a shoulder injury, and well, we have the Dak Prescott injury, and some other quarterbacks have dealt with medical situations, whether it's Cam Newton being on COVID-19 or other quarterbacks that have been banged up so far this year. Like, who's going to pay you a reasonable price for Sam Darnold? And ultimately, it doesn't do you much good to just give him away. And it sounds fine if you think you're going to get Trevor Lawrence with the first overall pick next year, but what if you stumble into 2 or 3 wins this year with Joe Flacco or anybody playing quarterback and the Giants or the Washington football team or the Atlanta Falcons get 1 win? You know, like if the plan is to tank for Trevor and then you don't end up getting Trevor Lawrence and it costs you Sam Darnold along the way, you know, that obviously is bad business. And I think that Sam Darnold stays with the Jets this year, but it'll be a fascinating dynamic because the blueprint has been laid by the Arizona Cardinals. Whether you think it's a carbon copy situation or not, the fact that the Arizona Cardinals went back-to-back years taking a quarterback in the top 10 gives the Jets a blueprint to follow. That I know it's 3 years between Sam Darnold and 2021's draft, and I understand that there's a larger sample size on Sam Darnold than there was on Josh Rosen, but I think it's a logical move that the Jets could make. If they have the first pick, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the guy's ridiculous right now. I don't think he's thrown a single pick this season so far. Every time I see him throw, it feels like it's exactly where it's supposed to be. He's a highlight reel waiting to happen, and the kind of guy that strikes me as, you know, 10 to 12 years of success the moment he walks into the organization.
Unless he ends up with an offensive line like Joe Burrow has. Ladies and gentlemen, ESPN NFL insider and host of the Fantasy Focused Football podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Field Yates. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thank you, man. You were awesome. That interview was brought to you by a company that says, mirror, mirror on the wall. What is the best brand for men's balls? Manscaped, of course. Hold up, is that a nose pube? Good thing our partners at Manscaped are here to ensure you're taking care of your manhood and your nose hairs with their new Performance Package. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Included in this new package is the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nips, snags, and tugs in those incredibly delicate holes. Fellas, 79% of partners polled admitted that long nose hair is a major turn-off. Why not use the best tools? The bundle also includes Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, which is the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body. It's time to turn that gooch into Gucci with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code PAT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code PAT. What are you waiting for? Go whack your weeds and make sure your balls look great during the process.
Hell yeah.
There ain't nothing like a good Manscaped sponsored conversation with an NFL insider on an Overreaction Monday.
They're doing well.
Let's get to the phones here. Let's go to Josh in South Kakalaka. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, Pat and the boys? Happy Overreaction Monday to you folks.
Happy Overreaction Monday to you too, Josh. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Hey, man, with Tampa Bay being overrated, the Falcons falling apart, and it looks like the Saints, you know, don't know what's going on down there. Is Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater about to make a run with the Panthers?
I enjoyed watching him play the football yesterday. Yeah. And Teddy Two Gloves, I guess, against the spread, Gumpy had some ridiculous stat last week. That this was basically a lock this past weekend. What was the stat?
Мне просто пиво, видишь, некуда ставить. Привет.
Oh, no.
Give him the launch codes.
Нет этих. Ну, типа, если сюда ставить, то меня будут убивать просто юнитов. Поэтому я, типа, пока пытаюсь найти, нажиться. И самое главное, чтобы у меня железо добывалось. На железе прошел.
He's an underdog. He's going to come out and play. Carolina Panthers, I thought for a good bit of time here early this season that they were going to look at what Cam Newton was doing with the New England Patriots, and their fan base was going to say, what the hell are we doing? We bring in Matt Rule, we get Joe Brady in here, and we get rid of Cam Newton and pay a quarterback the exact same thing that Cam Newton was asking for, basically. We see Cam Newton have success up there in New England. What do we got going on? Teddy Bridgewater has come around. That team seems to be playing great football, and I like the Carolina Panthers, although the NFC South is going to be very difficult. I like what that team has done, much more so than obviously their NFC South contingent Atlanta Falcons. Let's say that.
Do you think running backs who are about to be free agents next year should be worried at what Mike Davis is doing, because it's kind of like another blow to like, oh, we don't really need to pay these guys money. Christian McCaffrey's out, and this guy's just eating in his place.
Well, and if you look at Dalvin Cook up Aiden last night, now granted, when you needed a half a yard or half an inch, Dalvin Cook would have been able to get that for you. They had, what's it, Madison?
20 for 112, I think.
With T's in his name. 25. Whenever he got on, he exploded too. And I would assume that whenever you have backups behind very highly paid running backs succeed, it could potentially put something in your mind. But if you got Christian McCaffrey on your squad, you're going to keep him on your team. When you got Dalvin Cook on your team, you're going to keep him on his team. But you're right, those backups having success is very interesting for the GMs that maybe believe they shouldn't pay a running back. They see that and they go, see, don't even have to pay the guy. Told you. I don't know. I think if you have a talented player, you keep his ass in your building however you can. Unless you want to force him out 4 years earlier.
Trying to do it with Aaron Jones.
Let's go to Tony and Hoboken.
Oh, Hoboken. Oh, jeez.
Eddie from Hoboken.
Hoboken, what's going on, Tone?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? As an ex-player, what advice can you offer Jets fans who invest 3 hours every Sunday to watch the Jets, considering we have a totally inept head coach who's seemingly sabotaging the team?
Yeah, dude, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I really don't know. Because I would assume the teams are, I mean, Le'Veon Bell was either liking tweets or favoriting tweets. That was basically talking about how the head coach refuses to use Le'Veon Bell in a fashion that would make Le'Veon Bell a weapon on any team, which is out of the backfield. You got to remember, whenever he was at the Steelers, yes, he was the most elusive running back in the NFL. Now you see me, now you don't, the most patient guy in the backfield. That's why Le'Veon Bell was so good. But he was also a #1 wide receiver if he wanted to be, like best slot receiver in the NFL. That's why he wanted so much money. He wanted to be paid as a running back and as a wide receiver. He holds out. He ends up at the Jets. Jets won't throw him the ball. Hey, this guy can't catch. It's not a catching back, is he? No, he's a running back. We'll give him the ball whatever he needs to run. We don't need to throw jack shit to him, and that just makes no sense.
He would rather run a wheel route with Frank Gore rather than Le'Veon Bell.
And the reason potentially is because the Le'Veon Bell deal was before Adam Gase got there. So he's trying to make that look like a bad decision, but in turn, everybody else is like, maybe good decision if you use him the right way. If I'm a Jets fan, you've been through enough. You know how to deal with this better than I do, to be honest with you. Just know that there has to be brighter days ahead because the sun is brightest after the darkest dawn, and it feels like this is the darkest dawn. Hour 2 wrapping up on this Overreaction Monday, October 12th. We have Chase Claypool and AJ Hawk on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Sirius XM, Channel 82.
А чё? Ну?
This is Remember the Titans. How's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. I do a lot of things. Today I am a professional analyst getting ready for the Thursday night football opener in beautiful Nippert Stadium with the Cincinnati Bearcats here at Higher Ground.
Блин, враги еще рядом.
World.
Здесь не могу сделать?
Good squad, good place. Excited for this morning practice. I'm obviously unbiased, but I'm pulling hard for Cincinnati to do well on Thursday night. I like to say, all in clipboard quarterback,
Не хватает товара. Не хватает товара.
الحصان سريع.
Let's see what you got. Come on. This is great for the brand. This guy's an
Не хватает товара.
athlete.
Let's go.
We'll find out. Let's go. Heads up. Heads up. Hey, I appreciate
Не
that.
хватает
Thank you so much for asking.
Не хватает
Have a great day.
Going in, I'ma close the case. I can't wait no more, man. I gotta blow today. I'ma blow today. I ain't hearing what they say. Need a blue face. I've been caring about the race. I've been trying to eat. I need more than just a taste. Now they trying to talk. Oh no, they should know they place. Man, I'm ballin'. This ain't cap, baby. Now I feel like calling. from the pub, but I got the music popping. All the time, man, it started getting obnoxious. Now I gotta drive, yeah, I'm feeling nauseous. Gotta drive top, then I hop out, I've been feeling hot.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, you got it. Yeah, thank you. This has been so cool to see. Whenever we were driving out here into the sticks, my boys and I from Indianapolis, we were told by Coach Fickle it was a 40-minute drive from where we live.
Блин, такие они толстые вообще. О чем не эти, да?
But as we were getting out here, we didn't know what we were going to show up to. And this is such a cool scene here. I remember whenever I was in college, we won a lot of games, beat Cincinnati a couple times. It was a great day. But I remember my boys, right? Like, I still am in touch with them every single day, every single week. We had this moment where we went from boys to become men. And you guys were a really young team last year, but they got to experience a lot of wins. Like, now the expectation level are high. And I can't wait to talk you all up on Thursday night against UCLA. UCLA refused to respond to my tweet. So I am a Bearcat fan on that opening night, and I cannot wait to watch you guys dominate. And I think this is such a cool thing. Coach, I can't thank you enough for your hospitality. I got a bunch of swag from you guys, too. This has been a cool day. Enjoy this, though. This doesn't happen a lot. Even when you get into the NFL, it's not like college. It's not like your boys. It's not like this. It's a whole different world that you'll remember forever, and I was honored to be here to watch you today, and I can't wait to watch you guys go win the thing on Thursday night and then throughout the rest of the season. Thank you so much.
Послание от султана. К султану нынче небеса не благосклонны.
Не ворчу. Сам виноват. Вот так пошло.
Не хватает товаров.
If you have a player revolt, and the revolt works, you have to play good. Like, you have to play good. And if you don't, by the way, I will put the Texans on the do not bet list. If they do not.
They are very close to being on that
list. Very, very, very close. I will put them on that list. I also like D.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
I didn't know that little stat, that funny little stat that you dropped in. It was kind of like
they can also rush the pass.
An atomic bomb. You know what I mean? Like that particular one. I did not expect that stat.
That's all right. Ben, I believe Ben is third in the league in getting the ball out like 2.5 seconds or something like that.
So you were a little leading journalist.
I am taking the Houston football Texans -5.5. I mean, that seems like something you need to do. And then I'm taking the Carolina Panthers plus the 1.5.
I love it, Tony.
Oh, do you go?
I love it, Tony.
Так, ну чё? Можно переключаться на русской? Или рано еще? Это пока дойдут, не все по идее. Вроде как. Нет, не все по.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, and the things we can talk about. Speaking his mind. I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that. Well, I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my following, build my audience. Ridiculous. What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hour 3, Pat McAfee Show. Now McAfee and Hawk on this overreaction. Monday, October 12th begins right now. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, national champion, Super Bowl champion, AJ Hawk. AJ, big takeaway from yesterday's NFL Sunday. What are you overreacting to? Anything that we talked about thus far? What are your questions, statements, analyses?
Wow, it's a lot to go off of, I guess, from yesterday. Okay,
Are the Dolphins a real contender? That's my first question.
Bingo. Absolutely. It's tough because they're in the AFC, but I'll tell you what, if Ryan Fitzmagic keeps working his magic and making Jimmy G play bad football and getting benched in lieu of CJ Beathard, maybe Ryan Fitzmagic is prancing all over the AFC as for the next couple months.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure you talked about Jimmy G being benched. Do you think
we have not? We have not.
Actually, Nick's a big hockey guy. I'm a big hockey guy as well. How I took it, if you watch a hockey game, there could be a guy that's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and sometimes they just pull him. Like second period, he gave up 3 goals. All of a sudden, like, all right, man, it's not your night. Is that what happened to Jimmy G? Like we know he'll be in next game.
It's a good question on whether or not he's healthy. Is he healthy 100%? Because remember, he missed last week and it was an ankle injury, and I didn't watch the game close enough to realize if he was hobbling around or not. And maybe it was a, hey, this is going to be a bad night. You look like Swiss cheese goalie operation in the NHL. We need you to get out of here. Putting CJ Beathard in, though, as Jimmy G is named the starter, this is quite a message to be sent across your locker room. Right now, everybody, the question that you just asked, the entire team's asking. Was that just a, hey, Jimmy G's having a bad day? Hey, Jimmy G's ankle isn't all the way back. Hey, Jimmy G is this? Or is it like a, wait, do we know Jimmy G is our guy? I think Kyle Shanahan's a great head coach. I think Lynch is a great general manager. But I think they have a lot of questions, and they still have a lot of injuries over there. So maybe they're saving Jimmy G like, hey, you don't deserve to be with this team right now. Like, let's save you for whenever we're maybe putting our best foot forward. Whatever the case, it's going to have to be explained to the locker room this morning for sure why you guys did what you did and how you let Ryan Fitzmagic run all over your face in your house, which is what happened exactly.
The way Fitzpatrick can stand in the pocket and deliver, like he's done it his whole career, obviously, but that dude will stand with 2 D linemen bearing down on him, unblocked, and the dude can still deliver and take a shot and gets, like his whole, his patented gets up so juiced and, the gun, 6-shooter, he does every different celebration possible. You can just feel how excited the rest of the team is when old man Fitzpatrick gets going like that.
And you heard a lot of people potentially asking for Tua to come in trash time and maybe get a couple snaps, but it was very obvious that B-Flow and Ryan Fitzmagic were like, no, but this is you from beginning to end. And if you do recall, after their first big dub over the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday Night Football, we talked to Kyle Van Noy on Friday, and I asked him about Tua, and he said, hey, listen, oh, Fitzmagic, you never believe it's not so. Fitzmagic. He didn't even want to talk about Tua. He's like, yeah, this is Fitzmagic time, though. I think they have a real belief in Fitzmagic. I think they love where Tua is, being able to watch Fitzmagic. And when you get Fitzmagic, and whenever you get a win like that in San Fran, I mean, it only builds to the case even more. Right now, I mean, they're going to have to do some work. But if this guy gets hot, I mean, tight end Mike Gesicki says that Ryan Fitzpatrick is his greatest teammate he's ever played with. The thing that makes him special is he makes the guys around him better. If I could play with him for the next 15 years, I would. The amount of respect that players, teams, coaches, the NFL has for Ryan Fitzmagic is obviously very, very high. But boy, if they fuck around and win some games like they did last year, who knows what happens in this AFC, especially now that the Chiefs are dead. Chiefs are dead now at this point. You know what I mean?
Have you written the Chiefs off like some people have?
Yeah, I mean, it's Overreaction Monday, so I had to come in swinging that they were dead completely. But, I mean, that was a tough one yesterday. And Dan Orlovsky says that the Chiefs have gotten drunk over watching Patrick Mahomes just make ridiculous plays and pull them out of bad situations, which is why they paid him $500 million. And I think he just started a fire, by the way. I just saw the red bud there kind of drop down into your lap off your cigar. Hope you're okay. But it does feel like, much like your lap right now, the Chiefs are potentially starting to sizzle just a little bit on what the hell the future is.
I don't think so. I think they're going to be fine. The Chiefs, it happens. Like, hey, every once in a while you run into a buzzsaw, and they did yesterday. So, hey, chalk it up, keep it moving, I think, if you're the Chiefs.
Well, the Chargers also are a very different team whenever they got that Henry Ruggs cat going deep. I mean, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, Henry Ruggs. And I guess that deep ball was on a cover 0, by the way. It's a good read by Derek Carr. I think that is obviously a massive credit to Derek Carr's brain. But if you look at the Chargers, they battled the Chiefs close. Raiders battle the Chiefs close. That's a lot of games in their division that they're going to have to battle here for the next couple of years. Are we potentially seeing a little bit of a flaw in the Chiefs dynasty, being that the division plays them very, very difficult?
I don't know if we're seeing a flaw. I feel like the Chiefs they've almost reached that point to where they're so good that they know when they need to turn it on. They know when they truly need to play their best. Did they want to win yesterday? 100%. And they were trying to win, but there's something about it that really matters. I think that the Chiefs can get it done.
You don't get it, AJ, okay? Them knowing when to turn it on and turn it off is their problem. You have to play all 4 quarters all the time, AJ.
What about the Seahawks? I mean, the Seahawks came back and won that. I mean, I guess it was back and forth the majority of the game. Okay, how good do you think the Minnesota Vikings are? Or are you worried about the Seahawks because they just barely found a way through Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf to get a win?
Well, the Minnesota Vikings got Billy O'Brien fired, right? So let's not talk about how hot they were. They actually got a GM and a coach fired after one big win, but that Vikings team, 1-4, looks awfully different than 2-3. And they should have won that game last night. I mean, if guy zigs instead of zags, they pick up an eighth of a yard there on 4th down, which some people say should have kicked the field goal, go up 8. Well, then you're giving the ball to Russell Wilson, like you said you shouldn't give the ball to Russell. They made the right move, I think, going forward on that 4th and an inch to win the game, seal the game. Let's take this thing over. Massive stop. Russell Wilson walks right back down the field. Now the Vikings are 1-4 with, I do believe, stats and odds in the history of the NFL in 101 seasons say you do not have a great shot at making it at this case. But I think that Vikings team's a lot better than their record is. But I think that Seahawks team being able to win a game that they're not supposed to win yet again is a part of that Seahawks team's charm. I mean, it feels like they win games they're not supposed to win or games they're going to be out of it in or whatever, and they just continue to do it. And that's because they got clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Russell Wilson, here we go, baby. Here we go, baby. Here we go now. DK Metcalf, great weapon. How's it going? Greg Olsen, great weapon. Hey, Ty Lockett, great weapon. Here we go. And we got Pete Carroll on the side. Should come go Hawks. Now, that is what they are for real, and they're winning games they're not supposed to win, like last night. That's just a part of the team that they are, though.
Hey, did you watch that 4th down stop that they had? Bobby Wagner comes in and gets on the tackle, and they make an amazing stop. Who made the play? I think it was number 57. Is that Barton?
Yeah, Owen, I believe was last name.
Whatever his name is, that dude, he hit the fullback inside out and he squared him up, and it was a stalemate is a win if you're a linebacker meeting in the hole with a fullback like that. He hit him outside leverage to where the back couldn't get outside, right back to Bobby Wagner. Huge, gigantic collision. And that won the game, I think.
That's team defense, right? I'll eat up this block, and then you make the play.
Yeah, and it's not like it's, hey, this is easy. I got to go take on this fullback and find a way to stop all of his momentum and his monster head coming at me. If you watch that guy through some great blocks throughout the whole game, to do it in that moment is a giant play.
Is that one you dread or know it's coming? Like, did he know that it was Barton or whatever his name is? No, did he know before that play started? Okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do. If they run to their right side, I'm gonna have to eat this fullback right in the mouth. But the whole game depends upon it.
Yeah, most likely, like they had a safety. He's on the left side. Safety, if there's a safety down, he was probably down on the right side. So you know, all right, inside shoulder. I gotta send everything back. We call it boxing. Like you box the fullback means you send it back. If you spill it, means you let it bounce outside.
Well, it looked like there was a chance for him to cut outside, though. That's all anybody's talking about this morning.
Still picture, though. No, that's where you can take a picture out of context. In the picture, when you freeze it, it does look like, oh, look what he missed. Dalvin Cook would have got it. First off, like that was right as that gigantic collision happened between the fullback and the linebacker. I don't think there was no.
So you think that still image is completely fabricated, much like the one earlier this season that was completely fabricated as well?
I didn't say it was fabricated. I say the pic still gives you an unrealistic view of what could have happened.
Misleading.
Very much so.
Much like Zito's polls normally.
Whoa, they're massive.
Zito Overreaction Monday poll of the day is what?
It was who's the best undefeated quarterback right now? Aaron Rodgers at 47.7%, Big Ben 7.2%, Mr. Unlimited 33.3%, and Josh Allen 11.8%.
Okay, so our guys in the lead there, but it does feel like Seattle's waking up, especially after a massive fourth quarter comeback under 2 minutes. What do you need to do? Mr. Unlimited needs to do what he has to do. But Big Ben Roethlisberger, by the way, with this Chase Claypool character that we're talking to in about 12 minutes right here, that offense looks like it's awesome to watch as well. They got a couple backs that run hard, and then this guy can stretch the field while Juju's working underneath, and the Steelers' defense is great. Punter's good, kicker's good. The Steelers are a for-real squad this year, and I think everybody knows it in the AFC.
13 of 13 on third downs. Are you kidding me?
That's Ben Roethlisberger, baby, and he doesn't even hold the laces either. He's just tossing that pigskin however he gets it. 13 of 13 on third downs for 161 yards and 2 tugs is what we like to call a game-winning strategy. And that Steelers team yesterday, they should have buried the Eagles. They let them back in that thing. But that team, I think, is one that nobody's really talking about. There's not a lot of conversation about the Steelers right now. That's a team that could get really hot December, January, and maybe even into February if they can figure it out.
I was going to ask you that. Like, okay, I'm not from Pittsburgh. I don't live in Pittsburgh. You guys obviously have strong Pittsburgh roots. Is it me, or are they just hugely under the radar? I feel like the Steelers are playing great football, and no one's really talking about it outside of Pittsburgh.
Well, that's just like Mike Tomlin, too. Mike Tomlin's a guy that never gets talked about. Never, ever gets talked about. Whenever people talk about great coaches, boom, boom, this guy. Mike Tomlin never, ever talked about. Then the Steelers very rarely talk about, and it's because the AFC North right now, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, hot story, right? Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, very good. He's the MVP of last year for good reason. The guy's unbelievable, and it seems like they're back to being very dominant with what they did to Joe Burrow and his Cincinnati Bengals yesterday. That team is going to get Joe Burrow killed, AJ, by the way. They are going to get him absolutely killed. Every time I looked up, Joe Burrow was potentially losing his spinal cord, getting blasted by Judon and the Ravens or whatever. They're going to take care of him. But I think that's why the Steelers kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit, because the Ravens are the hot topic team. But that Steelers team is going to be problematic for a lot of people. That D-line is stupid. And I think Chase Claypool scores 4 touchdowns yesterday. That's a massive day. But that dude takes the top off of a defense on a very regular basis.
Oh, he absolutely does. And it also makes me wonder where the Minnesota Vikings offense would be if they didn't have Adam Thielen in the lineup. Like, this dude catches every third down conversion, it seems like. Every time they need a big catch and they need to continue a drive, or have a chance to win the game, it's like, oh, here we go. I'm just going to hang out. Kurt's going to look around. He's going to throw it to Thielen. He's going to make an amazing catch, and we're going to keep the game moving.
It was on his kid's birthday. Adam Thielen loses on his kid's birthday. Adam. Nice. Good game. Couple touchdowns.
Sorry, I doubt he promised his kid he would get a
He did.
He did, actually.
He did. On this show, he said, I'll score a touchdown. He did.
He did.
And he said, we'll get a win. And he didn't. Wow. His kid's never going to forget it. Turned 5, I think, or 4?
Yeah.
Empty promises. Yeah, that's part of parenting.
You can't trust your dad ever again.
No, that's what we've been saying. Yeah. He wore that shirt, he had the shoes, the whole thing, but all the kid's going to remember is, remember when the Grinch, Russell Wilson, walked down the field and stole my birthday? That's what happened to that kid. That's a shame, dude. Let's get to a phone call here before we get to a break, before Chase Claypool joins us. Canadian, by the way. Really? Yeah, big-time Canada. Good people truck.
Hour and 45-minute ferry ride from my hometown.
Oh, yeah, up there on the left side
Up there
of
in Abbotsford.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he knows more and cares more about Canada than you do.
Probably, definitely, for sure.
Let's go to Spencer in Connecticut. What's going on, Spencer?
What's going on, Pat? I'm a Jets fan, and unfortunately, I don't see us winning any games this season.
Well, that's good news, then. You get the #1 overall pick. The thing that would suck is if you win a couple games, and you kind of fall into like the number 3 or number 4 pick, and it's like too clear, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, everybody's going to say, and then the next one's like, oh, there's a great defender here, there's a great this guy. That's where you don't want to be. So if you're a Jets fan, I think right now you're at the point where, hey, don't throw the ball to Le'Veon Bell like we have. Don't throw him the ball. I mean, that's what made him a weapon and made him so high pricey in a hot commodity, is because he's not only an elusive running back, but he's also an incredible wide receiver playing the slot. He's great. Adam Gase, we can fucking throw the ball. Just keep doing that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Maybe get the #1 overall pick. Because the last thing you want to do is fall into suck purgatory, which some teams do, and then you're just you're on the carousel, and it's just going round and round, and we suck again.
Yeah, if you're going to suck, you might as well be the worst.
Especially at this point. Everybody hates it. You know?
Yeah. Be the best at being the worst.
If you're the Jets, it's just like, we're staring right in the face. I don't know if the Browns are...
Do you think Gase gets hired as a coordinator right away if he does get fired?
Like a consultant or something like that, like an offensive consultant.
Atlanta's looking for it. Yeah, so.
Maybe Peyton will give a call down to Atlanta and say, bring Gase in. The guy's screwed at the Jets and Miami. And maybe we'll bring
Detroit potentially goes back home.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does. Let's go one more phone call here before we get to a break. Let's go to Kyle in Chicago. What's going on, Kyle?
Hey, Pat, AJ, boys, how we doing?
Not too shabby. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. I want to talk about something Greeny said a week or two ago about Trevor Lawrence staying for his senior year to avoid going to the Jets.
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
My guy, if you're going to be the number 1 overall pick like Trevor Lawrence is going to be, you're going to go to a shitty team. Like that's what happens at the number 1 overall pick, by the way. Now, some teams notoriously more shitty than others. But Colts had number 1 overall pick there for Andrew Luck, and I don't think people classify the Indianapolis Colts as New York Jets level of suck or other teams level of suck at this moment. But you're going to a bad team if you're the number 1 overall pick. Hence why you have the number 1 overall pick, unless you're the Miami Dolphins and you trade for the Houston Texans and get their number 1 overall pick. Even though it looks like that's a whole new team, that's how you fall in there. You're always going to end up at a bad squad. You're always going to, it's just the way it goes. That's why people talked about Joey Burrow potentially holding out of Cincinnati, pulling the Eli Manning, saying, nah, not doing it, get me out of here. If Trevor Lawrence does that, I'll be incredibly impressed and love every single second if he chooses, nah, I'm not going there. Actually, don't draft. I
think it'd be hard for people to blame him, really.
You know, the interesting thing about that is, I mean, that's a tough precedent to set there for you. You're going to be judged forever off of that. Everything you do. If you don't win a Super Bowl with your next team, you're just going to get, I mean, that is.
Talks about Eli doing it anymore. I know he won 2 rings with the Giants, but is that the only reason why?
That's the only reason why. He doesn't win a Super Bowl there. That thing is still being talked about to this day, I bet. And also, those pre-social media age.
Yep.
If the team that you shunned goes on to win a Super Bowl or 2, then it's really talked about.
If Rivers won one with the Chargers?
I am so pumped that we are in this position now to talk about it. Like, for instance, when it came out that Joey Burrow, which was a lie, by the way, we've all learned that it's a lie. It was a complete lie. When it came out that he was thinking about telling the Cincinnati Bengals, nah, I want to go elsewhere, I got so excited. I was like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. This is a guy going, yeah, I've never played a single snap in the NFL, and who knows if I'll be able to do what I did in college against a bunch of grown men who are making a lot of money and feeding their family, but I've decided I don't want to suck with that team. Like, that just takes massive gut sack there, massive. Canadips CBD has done it again, folks. In charge forward on solving the next biggest problem everyone has. Cost. Candidates listened and have delivered from a $17.99 tin of dip, tobaccoless dip, to the new everyday low price of $9.99.
What?
You may ask yourself how, and the simple answer is by bringing manufacturing in-house and building a facility in the heart of CBD in Humboldt County, California. They've been able to cut the price drastically. Same amazing product at everyday new low prices. Nothing has changed besides more capital in your pockets to bet on Sunday. Head to CanadipCBD.com and use promo code LIPBOOMERS for 15% off new prices and enjoy affordable luxury. That's LIPBOOMERS for 15% off the new prices. No need to break the bank to kick bad habits. Canadip CBD is now you get it. Once again, head to CanadipCBD.com and use LIPBOOMERS to take advantage of the new everyday low price. Shout out to them, cut the price in half. We got to get to a break. On the other side, Chase Claypool, Mapletron, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers by way of Notre Dame from Canada, joins us on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Hour 3, McAfee and Hawk, right here on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, Sirius XM.
Так. Делаем этих.
You know, I sometimes laugh when people talk about, you know, down years for me, because a lot of times down years for me are career years for most quarterbacks.
That was awesome!
Hey, it's just the facts, bro.
You and me, I think, are the only people that can do it, dude.
That's old hat, Pat. I've been doing that for years. I learned that in high school.
Hey, can you explain when you actually say the words hard count in your hard count and it works?
Yeah, was that trolling? That was definitely trolling.
I saw that. No, why would I say hard count? That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I did not say hard count.
I want to know what's this bye week like for you, man? Like,
so COVID test every day, and at some point you got to let adults be adults and make decisions, understand the consequences. We can't hold everybody by the hand.
Yeah, a bubble would be awesome, Aaron. Put you guys all in one big hotel, huh?
Yeah, I won't be a big fan of that. All I guess not. The fucking media does is write stories to get clicks. So it doesn't matter. Like, I can give a long answer about something, and they can take a blip of it and write a story about it that has nothing to do with what I was saying.
So how do you know what to believe then, A-Rod?
I think you just have to be skeptical in general. I think that's having an open mind, is being skeptical and not just believing everything at face value, and do your own research and not just listen to something because somebody told you, some blue check mark on Twitter told you to believe something. You should have an open mind and feel into what you think is the truth.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
Так, сделали. Погнали за ресурсами.
Нас атакуют!
Львы нападают,
милорд.
А, львы. А где они? О, как раз. Я и поставил эти. Ников.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
Так, здесь, в принципе, безопасно, да? Там он может пройти, но может деф поставить.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
Нужно больше дерева.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, Hour 3 here. McAfee and Hawk. AJ Hawk is here. Also joining us is a man who scored 4 tutters just yesterday. Has one of the greatest nicknames in the history of the NFL already. Mapletron comes by way of Notre Dame. Ladies and gentlemen, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 11, Chase Clayton. Attaboy, Chase. What's going on, bub?
How we doing, guys?
Not as good as you, dude. Let's talk about this real quick. Number 11, awesome number. 7-Eleven, always open, you and Ben Roethlisberger. At what point did you know that you and Ben were going to be this tandem that was just a beautiful thing to watch? You got Steelers fans super excited. Juju can go back into the slot role. We got a guy that can take the top off of defense and loves making plays. At what point did you know you and Ben were going to be a good connection?
I honestly thought that as soon as I got drafted. But as a young rook, you can't really go ahead and say that until you start producing on the field. So I had to wait for my time, and finally it came. So I was thinking that the whole time.
Hey, when was the first time you actually got to interact with Ben in person?
That must have been in June. We had some PRPs going on, and that's the first time I met him, first time I got to throw with him, and as soon as I was able to catch one of his passes, I knew right away.
PRP, player, player ran practice?
Player ran practice.
Okay, we feel pretty good. You're much smarter than us. You went to Notre Dame, obviously, go to Canada. I mean, that whole thing. I believe today is Canadian Thanksgiving, so happy Canadian Thanksgiving to you, sir.
Thank you.
How does it feel to represent Canada, though, in the NFL in a big fashion? Now, I know that Canada has always had players that have been in the NFL, but the name Mapletron, obviously, Canada. For you to have 4 touchdowns in a game in your first season, I mean, Canada has to be on your shoulders at this moment. How big is it to know that an entire country is potentially on your back in this world of the football?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a big part of my motivation for sure. You know, I see all the love after every game that people show me. So, you know, it drives me forward and it allows me to have the success that I have. But, you know, I'm happy I can represent the way that I have so far, for sure.
Hey, what's Mike Tomlin like? Pat and I were speaking earlier in the show. Like when they talk about the big time coaches in the NFL, Tomlin for some reason doesn't get the pub he deserves. Like what's he like?
Yeah, I think the best thing about Coach T is that he tries to develop us off the field. He doesn't just look at us as football players. He cares about what we do off the field almost as much as what we do on the field. So I appreciate him for that.
Have you been treated like a rookie by anybody in there? Or is it new year, can't really do that? It's 2020. We don't have much time to kind of mess around with maybe the rookie, you got to earn your stripes type thing.
No. I as soon as I walked in the building, Ebron was giving me a tough time. His nickname for me was Rook Ass Rook. So he said that to me every time he saw me for the whole training camp. And then obviously I had rookie dinner, which hurt the bank account a little bit. But,
How much?
It was north of 10,000.
Keep catching the ball, brother. Keep catching the ball, Chase. You got AJ?
Yeah, what's it like with Ben Roethlisberger? He's been doing it in the league forever. This is a comeback year on multiple fronts for Ben, coming off an injury. I'm just wondering how you have such a good rapport with him so early on.
Yeah, I think this year especially, he's really specific in what he wants from his receivers. And after any play that he didn't feel right about, he'll go ahead and tell you, hey, you got to release this way. You have to break out of your route this way. This is where I'm going to put the ball. So I think that really helps kind of knowing what to expect on each play.
Mid-drive, like in the middle of a drive, will he come up and tell you how he wants the route run, like in between plays?
Either right after a play or right before a play. So if he calls a play in the huddle, he'll be like, all right, if you have this coverage, this is how I want you to run it. If it's this coverage, I might not even be going to you, so you should run it this way to free someone else up. So he's always thinking, and it's crazy to think that someone's been around for that long and they know what's going to happen before it happens.
I think the interesting thing about you, the amount of success you've had, is how young you are, because football IQ only grows and grows, especially at wide receiver where you have to get crafty out there against DBs that are incredible. So the thought that he's already telling you, like, hey, on this coverage, you're doing this and this, means he's got a lot of trust in you. Who are some guys that you looked up to? Because you're this fast, go and get it wide receiver, but you also run great routes. I mean, who are some wide receivers that you've looked up to coming through Notre Dame, and now that you're in the league, you watch film of potentially?
Yeah, so obviously I watched Julio Jones, I watched Megatron for sure, and then I like to watch smaller receivers who are a little shiftier, because I figured if I was a bigger receiver who could move like those guys, it would only help. So I watched like Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and then like Adam Thielen and stuff like that.
Don't fight your teammates.
Jace, Pat just talked about you being young, but like the whole wide receiver room is young. Like Deontay and James are only 24. Juju's been, this is his 4th season, but he's only 23. Like, who's the leader in the wide receiver room, and like who do you guys go to maybe for some advice?
I think Juju's definitely the most vocal guy in the room. He's very, very goofy, which helps lighten things up. You know, he's never too serious, which I think is good for a young group like us. But the thing I kept telling the receivers is we're so deep, so everyone has a voice, and everyone trusts everyone pretty closely. So I think that's a big part of our success.
Are your gloves okay? I saw the ball was stuck there.
Yeah, it was a tough little moment for me, but I got the gloves back there, getting stitched up.
Yeah, smart. I would hang on to those 4 touchdowns, no big deal. The off week that you were forced into there because of the Tennessee Titans, how did you guys treat that in practice? Was it still as if you were playing the Titans all the way up until then, or did you turn your focus to the Eagles, or did you turn that on working on the Steelers getting better there for like the day and a half, 2 days that you had knowing you weren't going to play?
Yeah, so until we found out if we were playing or not, we were preparing to play the Titans, and then as soon as we found out, we actually found out heading onto the field. So our practice was technically structured to play like the Tennessee scout defense. So we just went on with that practice, and we practiced one more time, just basic stuff, and then we waited the next week to actually prepare for Eagles. But that week was definitely big for us. But now we got 13 straight, so it's gonna be tough for sure.
Hey, you rook-ass rook, you can't worry about that.
one game at a time.
So what is it like after games now? Like, obviously you're a rookie, so it's your first time experiencing like post-game NFL, but you have plenty of post-games at Notre Dame. You know, you get to see your family, hang out, go out, have some fun. Now, what do you do after a game?
Bro, 4 touchdowns too. Can't do anything. Oh man, go home, play video games.
It was actually kind of sad because I pulled up to the game, but you know I couldn't really do anything. Couldn't really show them a good time. We did go out to dinner, but you know that's not what you want to do when you just score 4 touchdowns. You want to black out.
And by the way, Pittsburgh is a good city to do that in. I think you would not be alone in that case, especially if they saw you out and about at that particular time. But are there certain rules that you're allowed to? You said you went and got dinner or whatever, but I would assume as a rookie, they're potentially talking to you more, maybe less than everybody else about how, especially with you guys seeing what happened with the Tennessee Titans, if there's any little outbreak of COVID, it's potentially detrimental to your entire season. How has that been? Like, what are the rules whenever you get out of practice, when you get out of the game, everything like that?
Yeah, no doubt. We have to keep our social gatherings very limited, and you know, it's pretty strict on who we can and cannot see. So it is a tough adjustment because you want people to be able to come to the game, you want people to visit you, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? So, you know, I haven't seen too many people this year. This past game was the first friend I saw all year, which was nice to see a friendly face, but it is also a little risky bringing people in, so you just got to be careful.
What's the biggest difference between college football and the NFL? I watch a lot of college football now because I get a chance to do college game day every weekend, and I obviously have to know what I'm talking about. But whenever you talk about college defenses, you're talking about elementary defenses, and they have to be because everybody runs so fast. But I would assume in a lot of games, I didn't watch all your games, you had to be the fastest, biggest, toughest guy on the field for everybody. Now that you're in the NFL, is there been any difference? It doesn't seem like you've slowed down at all. What is the biggest difference in your eyes between college football and the NFL?
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest difference is throughout the week, how NFL teams prepare. I think it is a lot more professional in terms of making sure you're ready to play the game at 100%. I remember in college, like, I'd be killing myself in practice, and then come game time, you know, I'm sore, which should never happen. But I think that's how it is for most college programs. And then it's a complete 180 when you get to the NFL. When it come game time, you're 110%, you're feeling good, and that's just based off the week preparation.
What was training camp like? I know Pittsburgh, like Mike Tomlin is known to run a tough camp, usually a very physical camp. I don't know if COVID changed that, but how was it, I guess, compared to what you thought it would be?
Camp was definitely it wasn't too much of a challenge in my opinion, but I think you could tell that people were keeping a close eye on you for sure. Every rep mattered, and since it was such a short camp, everything you did translated directly into what would happen in the season. So if you played well in camp, you'd probably be playing in the season. And if you had a bad camp, you're probably not playing. So it was a lot on the line every practice for sure.
Hey, you're a physical specimen, huh? You always have been, just a freak.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I've been blessed with good genetics for sure.
Well, camp was nothing for me, man. I mean, maybe others might be tired or whatever, but it wasn't shit to me. What up, Nick?
Chase, I know you got a basketball background, but as a Canadian, I have to ask you, are you a hockey guy?
Yeah, I actually grew up playing hockey.
Yeah,
I was a goalie until my knees started hurting at a young age. It's not for me anymore, but I grew up playing hockey. I was a big hockey fan. Fan
Так,
of
мне
the
нужно
Ducks.
тогда идти.
And then I guess I got too tall and I just moved on to other things. But
Рекрутов нет.
yeah, I grew up playing hockey.
Yeah, you went on to a relevant sport.
Строишь.
That was a smart move. In Pittsburgh, though, Penguins are going to treat you very nicely. That city, first class operation, obviously. And I'm kind of bummed you haven't got to experience Pittsburgh at all, really, right? Because you've been locked down. You haven't even got a chance to experience the city. Whenever you see that stadium and it's empty, and they had, what, 7,500 people in there or whatever, you haven't even really got to experience Pittsburgh yet. And I think that is what I'm most excited for you, is that place is going to go bonkers for Chase Claypool, I think.
It's nuts because we just had fans for the first time this season. There was only 5,000 fans, and I was getting some insane adrenaline. So I can only imagine 65, 70,000 people watching you and cheering you on. So Pittsburgh's a great city, great sports town. I'm hyped to get this.
Chase, have you talked to Coach Tomlin and Coach Smith, who does the special teams? Like, hey, how many touchdowns do I have to score to maybe stop covering kicks and punts?
No, keep doing that.
Yeah, I was actually trying to be in the Pro Bowl for the team.
Let's go. There we go.
So I haven't had a conversation anything like that. But in the game, if I do come off a long drive, Coach Smith will show some love and he'll take me out for a play.
Need you out there. You know what I mean? Like, for all special teams across the NFL, we need a guy scoring 4 touchdowns, then playing gunner on the like, that is what we need out there, Chase. I mean, granted, not smart at all. You could get hurt doing something that anybody else on the team could potentially do and all that stuff. But boy, for the special teams unit, we need you out there, Chase.
Yeah, it's good for the brand, no doubt.
Bingo! Hell yeah! My God!
Let's go.
Yeah, Chase, there were 10 wide receivers taken before you. Is that something you think about, and does it motivate you at all?
Yeah, it was definitely a deep class this year, and seeing those guys' names get called before you, me knowing what I was capable of, it's not frustrating because you know no matter where you get picked, you're gonna make an impact and you're gonna do well. So it's only a matter of time before these other teams who passed up on you start shaking their head, and I'm just happy I was able to do it sooner than later.
Have you all? Yeah, I'm sorry, AJ. Go ahead.
No, I got my last thing. I just want to ask about Notre Dame quickly and Brian Kelly. A lot of people from the outside that watch Brian Kelly, we get to see him get pretty upset. Referees, his face may get a little bit red. The guy seems to be pretty fiery. I'm curious what it was like playing for him, and I guess how much you pay attention to them still. You think they got a shot this year?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame was a really good team put together. Coach Kelly's a great coach. I had a great relationship with him, so I have nothing but great things to say about him. You know, the things are coming together slowly but surely. I think as soon as we hit Clemson, we're going to be ready for that challenge. So I'm excited for that.
Well, you better be, because that team is they're like 9 deep at every position right now at this particular point, and Dabo doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. Let's talk about you off the field. What are some of your hobbies? You a gamer? You a collector? You chill? You work? What do you do off the field?
Yeah, no, I'm a gamer. So when I come back, especially in this season, when I come back from the facility, I'll be gaming. So I gotta set up a Twitch. I gotta follow Juju's footsteps there, but I would say that's my main hobby.
What do you play? What game?
Call of Duty is my main game.
Oh, you're a sniper, a killer, huh? Chase, we can't thank you enough for joining us, man. Continued success in the rookie season. You're going to hit a rookie wall at some point. I think AJ and I can tell you that. Weeks about 9 to 14, potentially. Just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, especially in this incredibly long season you're about to have.
I'll keep that in mind. I appreciate you.
Hey, you're the man. Keep on. Ladies and gentlemen, Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chase, that rookie wall is no joke, AJ, by the way. Once you get to like week 8, week 9, in the beginning of the season, in your OTAs, in your quarantine, in your combine, in your senior season, which you have not stopped since, you get there and you're just like, everybody's smarter than me, bigger than me, everything I've ever been, and everybody's fresher than I am. It feels like the world's going to crumble. And then you get to like week 13, it's like, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We'll be able to get to the other side. That kid's unbelievable. Looks like he is not worried about a damn thing, by the way.
Big, physical, intelligent receiver. Like, what a great pickup in the second round. Pittsburgh, I know, has a history of picking guys up, not in the first round as receivers, but later on in the draft, and they turn out to be stars. I mean, Ben is a big reason of that, and Ben helps them become stars. Yeah, man, they know what they're doing. Claypool, you just look at it, he's pretty impressive physically. 6'4", what's he like?
6'4". And he weighed at the combine 230, and he jumped 40 and a half on his vertical, and he ran a 4.4 flat.
And 10 people were drafted ahead of him. Yeah. So he's motivated. Okay. And on draft day, he said he knew that he and Ben were going to get along well. Like, there's no panic or anything like that. He's like, whoever gets me is about to get a stud. Since day one, by the way, this dude has been a stud. Pittsburgh's got to be thrilled with him. I also like his answer. I wish I could go black out or something like that.
Yeah.
By the way, Pittsburgh's going to love that answer. They're like, don't you worry about it, bud. We'll get you down the road if you can bring back a Lombardi to the south side.
Just keep your head on a swivel down there.
Yeah, well, Chase Claypool.
No, he'll be all right.
He's Mapletron.
He'll be all right.
And he's a sky cam at this point. He got all the affliction shirts will be walking around below him at 2:30 a.m. on Southside. Let's get to the phones here. Let's go to Michael down there in Mississippi. What's going on, Michael?
What's going on, guys? Just a quick question about the whole franchise tag situation with Dak and everything. Given that you're a franchise tag yourself, do you think the players will try to lobby to have the franchise tag removed in the next CBA?
Great question. That's 10 years from now, so I don't know if Dak Prescott will still be used as an example. I know the players did not like the franchise tag this round of CBAs, but it was something the NFL would not give up on. Player side, it's guaranteed money, yes, but it's restricting you from hitting the market, which is all you're ever trying to do. So you can see why players hate it. But this has been something that's been talked about for the last couple of CBAs, and I haven't seen it disappear. In 10 years from now, maybe it will be something that disappears, but that's a tough conversation to have right now, especially with the new CBA.
Yeah, do you think, Pat, how Dallas handles the Dak situation will have any impact on how they handle the franchise tag moving forward?
Dude, this Field Yates.
Где мы это шутили, блин?
And I love Field Yates, and that conversation was brought to you by Manscaped. The thing about Field Yates is, whenever he said all what was that?
Why was it by Manscaped?
Because they sponsored the segment.
Sponsor all insiders.
Come on.
Shot at Rappaport, that's all I'm saying.
Not a shot at Rappaport. No. Actually, just like the complete opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Sticking up for
supporting.
Absolute craziness that he's 2 weeks suspended, but yeah, continue. Sorry to cut you off.
I do not believe the punishment fits the crime, especially for the lack of money that was probably worth as an IG story for Ian Rappaport. But neither here nor there. Everybody else gets to eat as Rappaport starves and stares at his phone and sees news get broken everywhere else instead of his phone that he's worked so hard to do. But Field Yates basically talked about how the way Jerry Jones and the Jones family talked after the game, he would find it very difficult to see a situation where the Jones family doesn't take care of Dak Prescott, especially with the $37 million franchise tag number next year and the salary cap potentially dropping and them not wanting to have $37 million on the books and a franchise tag. So maybe they'll be able to negotiate a long-term deal with a smaller number in front and the back like Patrick Mahomes had or whatever. But you and I both know, AJ, what Jerry Jones and the Jones family said after yesterday's game doesn't mean a single fucking thing 6 months from now whenever his contract, his franchise tag is up. If Andy Dalton has success or anything else like that, I think the business could really rear its ugly face in this entire situation. And Dak Prescott could have to rebuild another contract in the next couple years, potentially somewhere else, or maybe even with the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dak's in a weird spot. Like, I guess the question too would be, does the asking price that he had before, does he lower it now if he's coming off this brutal ankle injury?
I don't know, because he's so good. There wasn't like he's playing bad and got hurt. It's like Dak's still playing like Dak played last year on his contract year. And then if it's not the Cowboys, is there another team that's going to pull the trigger on him because they've seen how good he is and they're like, hey, we believe in his rehab, even though we haven't met the people giving him rehab or doing the surgery. It's a tough situation. This is why everybody didn't want him to play this year if they didn't get a long-term deal, because this is something that happens. Earl Thomas happened to him up in Seattle, and I have to wonder, did Dak Prescott get a Lloyd's of London insurance policy on his legs? Because that could be up of $200 million plus if he got that, which I got on my leg during my franchise tag. I wonder if that happened for him and how this all plays out. Everybody feels terrible for the Dak situation, and the Jones family is going to have to be one where I'm not sure we can take anything that they say right now and say this is how it's going to be, because we all know that's just not how the NFL business operates.
We have no idea what they're going to say 6 months from now, how Dak's rehab is going, what he looks like. I guess it was an awful situation for Dak. You hate to see it, everything, but hey, now if your starting quarterback had to get hurt, I would say having the Red Rocket sitting behind him is one of the best backup situations you could have.
How about that ball he dropped to Gallup down there on that right side? That was an incredible catch. I can't believe his right foot did not step out of bounds, by the way. That was absolutely miraculous, but that's why you pay a backup quarterback. That's why you pay one.
They only paid him $3 million, I think.
Have you talked to the Red Rocket?
Yeah, I had to send him a text afterwards, let him know. Good job, man. Happy to see you out there.
Did you tell him thanks for blowing off our show whenever he signed with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't. I guess he didn't exactly blow it off. He wasn't sure the protocol of coming on a show when he just signed with the team.
They blew it up.
I think they wanted. He felt like he had to. You know, that's the problem with Andy. He's too good of a guy. He didn't want to go behind Dallas's back and come on our show and be like, hey, I don't know these guys yet. I don't want to do something that they don't want me.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have a quote of him saying like, I know Dak's the guy, but if something happens and I have to come in, and we could have had that quote right now. But Andy Dalton, Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback now, just blew us off.
Thanks, Andy.
Tony Romo wouldn't have done that, right?
No, never. Romo's a stand-up guy.
Maybe just cramp.
Talk you.
Let's go to Jesse in Morgantown. What's going on, Jesse? Hey, you can't assume any injuries, by the way. Can't assume. I got yelled at for doing it.
Oh,
it looks like a sticker.
Doing a game, I caught myself trying to say, like when you know it's clearly a cramp with the dude. You're like, yeah, I don't know. It looks like a lower body situation.
I think it was your game where the guy got a stinger, and I was like, I just got a stinger or whatever. They'll get on. So like, do not speculate. That could have been out. I'm like, nah, it's a stinger. Hey, you don't know. I was like, I do know. That is. You can't speculate. You're not a doctor. I'm like, I'm not, but I've seen 7,000 stingers. That is a stinger. Well, what if he broke his neck? Well, then it wouldn't be a stinger. I'm wrong. Like you can't do it. Jesse in Morgantown, what do you want to talk about?
Hey, Pat, I want to appreciate you guys giving me a mental vacation from out here fighting COVID on the front lines.
Hey, we appreciate you, Jesse. Appreciate you, Jesse.
But I was curious, what's it like playing for a players-type coach like Bill Stewart compared to playing to a hard-nosed, hard-ass like Rich Rod?
Great question. I'm very thankful that I went from Rich Rod to Bill Stewart as opposed to Bill Stewart to Rich Rodriguez in my college time. I'm not sure I would have been able to mentally handle that, but it's very different, obviously. You're doing everything not to piss off Rich Rodriguez, basically, your entire life, to like, okay, now I don't want to disappoint Coach Stu. It's just two different mindsets. I think both styles can work, have worked, and shown to work, but it is two different ways of living if you're underneath those types of coaches.
It's not just you, though. It's not just the players that it affects. It affects every coach there, every person, like even the secretaries, the people working equipment, like just however the head coach is, whatever his personality, his demeanor, how he runs things, it affects the whole place. And like you said, there's not really a right or wrong way. You can be kind of the hard-driving dictator type if guys respect you and they think you're real, and you can also be more of a player.
As I grow older, I think I've learned to respect why Rich Rodriguez did things the way he did, especially with the team that we had probably need to be. I think he could have dialed it back on a 7-8 notches if he had to, but I mean, it was I've heard a lot of college coaches are like that, because you got a lot of young guys that are in a situation where they can massively fuck up, and you kind of got to hopefully guide them into a new path. It's all very, very interesting, and I think both styles work. You just got to do whatever your real self is. You know, it's the people who try to be a hard ass who aren't hard asses. That's kind of tough. Players can see that immediately, and then obviously vice versa there. Let's go to Heath in Illinois. What's going on, Heath?
Hey, what's going on, Pat?
Attaboy, Heath. What do you want to talk about?
My question is, players that sat out due to COVID, if they could come back mid-season.
They cannot. They've been ruled out, I think, for the entire season. But players who have started, if this goes into a Week 18, Week 19, Week 20, or maybe a bubble pitch, can guys all opt out then? I would assume yes, right? Guys would opt out then?
I think what happens like if a guy all of a sudden didn't feel comfortable now and he opted out? Do you have to pay back a certain amount of money? Like how does your money work?
How does that affect the salary cap? Do they get a chance of bringing in another guy? Oh, I don't know, AJ. I haven't heard that from anybody, by the way. Everybody's been like, yeah, the protocols have been good. We appreciate it. But also, at what point do you get sick of just driving home after scoring 4 touchdowns, locking yourself in your room, and going back in as if it's the next day? I would assume humans are going to act like humans at some point. We've already seen that in Tennessee and up in New England. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
A couple teams trying to take down the entire league.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before the shell game comes up on the NFL, by the way. It's only a matter of time for Week 18, Week 19.
Здесь нет работы, милорд.
Have they zeroed in on how the Titans became infected?
We haven't heard the story. Or the Patriots either. We haven't heard that story publicly yet either.
Yeah.
Sure.
Didn't you guys some underground Cam Newton story?
Oh, yeah.
This thing's flowing.
We got a pretty good idea.
Listen, I don't want to say like having a daily show that has 200,000 views every day or whatever, and you know, like that doesn't help the cause for people sending in information whenever they have it. I feel like damn near, no, not damn near, whatever. A lot of the news that breaks via Schefter or anybody else, we have it in our DMs or in our tweets maybe half hour to an hour beforehand, and I can't just run with old classic Boner Garage 20 tweeted this in or whatever. Like we can't just run with that. But it does feel like the internet has sent us information before everybody else gets it on a rather regular basis at this point. The Cam Newton story we were sent is one that is hilarious, obviously, but I'm not 100% sure if it's true, so I'm not going to be the person that breaks it. But certain stories like this in the past have been true, and I could very easily see how it happened. But until somebody else breaks it, we will not talk about it.
They're realistic usually when they come through. It's something where it's like, oh, actually, yeah, I could see that happening, and then, a couple hours later.
And then you go, makes sense. Let's go to Parker in North Kakalaka. Parker, what's going on?
Boys, how we living?
Hey, just hanging out. How are you, bub?
Doing great. Got a little money moves Monday question for you.
Okay.
All right. Looking at a parlay here. We got Atlanta over the Dodgers, Astros over Tampa. Then we move to Wednesday. Get the Raging Cajuns over Coastal. I know you caught some heat going against Coastal.
Do not bet against the Shunts.
That's fair.
Yep. You just said to though, so I'm a little bit worried about you.
Arkansas State over Georgia State.
Так, ты мне ответил на что-нибудь?
And then UK over.
Я на Твиче вопрос задал.
Nobody's writing that down. Nobody knows what you're talking about, and you have no credibility on whether or not your bets are worth a single fuck or not. That can't be happening on this show. What was Parker doing? Parker calls in, I think,
damn near every day.
Pretty regularly. Like we like Parker, but Parker,
He just wanted to tell you the parlay he was gonna make.
Yeah, he parlay Parker. We don't fucking need it, pal. We don't even know if you've won a single bet in your entire life before. Now's not the time.
We got Monday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, plus we got Saints Chargers tonight. Come on.
Baseball.
I did like his baseball.
Baseball's still going.
How do you know? You guys told me the Yankees take the run line. I want max bet. You stink. You guys don't know what you're talking about when it comes to baseball.
I got my teeth knocked out as well. So,
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Big time.
And by the way, I would rather
мы брат с вами пойдем. Я, короче, тебе с утра не сказал, что я перевелся, вернее, перевели меня удаленку.
I mean, he was taking us through the entire end of 2020, by the way. Oh, and think about this one on New Year's Eve. The potential Titans-Bills finally play.
Yeah, by the way, when basketball comes back.
Let's go to Robert in California. What's up, Bob?
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это
I have been
нельзя
getting
здесь
messages that
разместить,
some
милорд.
callers can't hear
Здесь нет
anything
работы,
right now.
милорд. Работник идет на своем месте.
Just, I'm the voice of the internet over here. I'm looking at all the YouTube comments.
How many people could have called? Like 3 people.
Ott told me.
Ott hasn't been on the phone today.
Why'd you wait till the end of the show?
Because it's 2 callers.
All right. This show stinks. This show absolutely stinks. AJ, we got like 90 seconds. You have anything to say?
No, I just want Parker back for the rest of this parlay. Lead us into the legend that is Mad Dog. We need the parlay to lead us right into it.
I mean, was he going to give us a 15-leg parlay?
Sure sounded
if
like
that
it.
hits, though.
I understand.
He was talking about half the time.
Jesus Christ. Who's got the time for that or this song?
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
This is a good song, man.
This is a good
song. Overreaction Monday, October 12, 2020. Saw some very good highs. Okay, Field Yates, Wislavsky, Chase Claypool. I mean, love that.
Короче, еще,
great day. The boys had a great day. Some incredible phone calls. We also saw some downs. Saw some downs, and tomorrow we'll try to eliminate those downs. Speaking of downs, a show that never has any of those is on next. A man who trailblazed this sports talk radio, who now is the name of said channel we're on. Chris Mad Dog Russo, Mad Dog Unleashed, is on the other side of this break on Channel 82, Sirius XM. I would recommend you listen to this big old brain talk about things. But for Overreaction Monday, I think we had a pretty good show. Are the Chiefs dead? We decided no. Which normally we would say they're dead because that's an overreaction.
Yeah.
Raiders, are they alive? Maybe. Steelers, good. Phillip Rivers, dead. Yeah. Sure feels like it. We'll be back tomorrow. Can't wait to chat with you then. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. So, we're clear now off radio. We got to clear some in-house shit up here. Zito, how many messages have you gotten from people that couldn't hear anything that's happening in the show?
So far, through the YouTube chat, thank you to everyone that's on there. Ott was one of them, another guy, I don't remember his name.
But Ott, every time Ott calls and we talk to Ott,
are just fine.
And he's in fucking Estonia.
He's good. So maybe him being overseas was the problem.
Let's go to Alex in Louisiana. Alex, what's going on?
Hey, Pat.
No problem. No, hold on, Alex. No problem right there, okay? Alex, I don't need you getting into a 75 leg parlay. You know that, Alex. But, Alex, can you hear us loud and clear down there in the bayou?
Yes, sir.
During the commercial or
goddamn hurricane down.
Bingo. Delta. Did not take out the service or our guy, Alex. What do you want to talk about, Alex?
Hey, Pat, very quick for the brand question as far as holders go. Do kickers prefer the backup quarterback, a punter, or a skill player?
Great question. It's the punter because they're around each other every single day, all hours of the day. It used to be the backup quarterback because it used to be the threat that there was a fake any given time and that the quarterback can take the snap and give the cadence better than anybody else. Although that is true, what they found is the fake option is chosen at such a alarmingly low rate. Let's just make the operation as smooth as possible. To do that, let's have the person who's around them all the time be the holder. That's why you mostly see punters holding as opposed to a couple colleges at this point because they can work on the operation. It's all happening in 1.25 seconds, snap to kick. That thing's got to be clean, got to get a lot of work, as opposed to a quarterback after practice taking a couple half-ass reps and getting it done.
Romo situation. Yeah.
That Romo situation was tough. And yesterday, the hold for the Cowboys was awesome. And Romo was calling the game, didn't say a single word about it. And I was like, Romo, you're a fucking ex-holder. Like, at least shout out Chris Jones with that entire spin. He trapped it, spin it, catch it. GZ hits a game winner. A little respect for the holder, Tony Romo. Instead, Jim! You know what I mean, AJ?
I said the same thing. I was watching it. We stopped over at a house right next to us, and our kids were out in the backyard, and we were watching outside on this TV this dude had, and I'm like, I was nervous for him because I saw the old Rocket come in. I wanted him to get a win, and they show the slow-mo hold and kick, and like I was telling the two guys that were there, I'm like, that's really difficult. Like that, being the holder there, you know how hard that is? Like, and they never thought about it, and they were looking at it like, oh. Yeah, that does look pretty, the only time anyone will say your name is if you mess it up.
Yeah. So my rookie year, obviously, I was holding for the first time because I kicked in college. Everybody knows the story. I told Bill Polian, I practice holding all the time. Yeah, I lied. Had to. Then I get drafted to be the holder of the Vinatieri. Vinatieri sends me down to a holding boot camp, basically, at Ken Walter's house in North Carolina, a man who held for him in New England, greatest holder of all time. He's in a snow game. Great holder. I go there for like 2 days, get a holder boot camp. I come in. Vinatieri training camp every night is throwing me like 500 balls. No joke. I'm getting calluses on my hand, but we're going through it because of how quick you have to be. And Vinatieri thought, listen, this dumbass from West Virginia is not going to be the downfall of my career, okay? Because the holder can directly make a kick for a kicker or directly miss a kick for a kicker if they really want to, depending on the lean, the spot, everything like that, which is, I think we should potentially investigate a little bit more for the Kansas City Chiefs with Butker and Tommy Townsend, because Butker's hitting a lot of fat balls, so it could potentially mean that the hold's out of place. I don't watch close enough film, and it's hard to really be able to tell from the sky cam that they have on you, but that's something you should think about. For me, I was nervous every single time I went out to hold, but it never even really clicked in until we're jogging out for like a game winner. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm a pretty fucking big piece of this. And nobody's even going to talk about it at all. So then I look back at Vinatieri and I ask him if he's ready, and he's like ice cold, locked into me to do his job or whatever. And I'm like,
Ой, кстати, блин, забыла болельщик.
I mean, I gotta fucking do something too. And it wasn't until I got down for like a game winner or a game tire that I really realized, like, oh, this position sucks. Like, this sucks very, very, very bad. And then there was a year where we had a perfect streak going. He was gonna be the second kicker in the history of doing it. It's like every time you jog out there, you're like, all right, this is for a Hall of Fame resume here. Okay, let's not fuck it up here. Okay, thank you, Overton. Let's keep it moving. But it is a situation position that never gets enough credit, but it's not that easy to be completely candid. It's not that easy at all.
It's like all risk, no reward. Like the only reward is going to be the special teams coach like, hey man, way to not lose the game for us. That's all it is. Do you ever look at, Pat, I think it should be looked at more. If a kicker, say a guy's been established in the league for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he starts missing some kicks. I don't think they ever talk, people don't look and talk about, hey, have they changed holders? Has he gone through multiple holders? Like, did he have a guy that's been there for 7 years, and now all of a sudden they're transitioning some rookie in there to hold for him? Like, do they talk about that at all?
So that happened to Mason Crosby a couple years ago with J.K. Scott. They had a rookie snapper and a rookie holder, and everybody's talking about how bad Mason Crosby is, how bad Mason Crosby is. And then if you take one look at the film, the ball more often than not is just spinning while he's kicking it because JK's trying to get it back figured out or whatever. And it's like Mason Crosby's falling into a rut. Maybe he's lost it. It's like, what? Or maybe there's a rookie snapper that isn't snapping laces, which, by the way, that is the snapper's job. Everybody kind of gets mind blown because Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Dan Marino, Finkel is Einhorn. Everybody blames Dan Marino, and especially Finkel does, almost killed him because of it. It's actually nowadays, since long snapper is its own professional position with guys making millions of dollars to do it, it is their job to get the laces from 9 to 3, which means if you look at it on a clock, 12 being straight up the long snapper's ass, 9 to 3 is the long snapper's job. The holder's job is to hit the spot, the exact spot, because if you're off by that much, it's a miss. And then the lean and fix the laces that the long snapper gave you. So anytime you see like 6 o'clock laces, like Chris Jones, by the way, got the other day, and it was down, and he got it on a spot, leaned and spun it at the same time, which is a great move. Like that, the laces are on the long snapper. That is literally what they're being judged for in the NFL, not in college, but in the NFL. And people are always like, "Oh, the fucking holder screwed him over." It's like, no. I understand what Jim Carrey taught you in Pet Detective or whatever, but that is not how it is in 2020 in the NFL. That is the long snapper's job. And the long snappers, by the way, to their credit, are incredible at what they do to make a ball spin the same exact amount of times every single time they go on the field. It is not an easy gig at all. At all.
It's a thankless gig, I feel like, and it's a little bit better now. In fact, they can't line up a 400-pounder right over top of you and just run you. That used to be the game, to just annihilate the snapper and try to scare him and have a bad snap later in the game.
Oh, those snappers, dude. They have to snap it exactly precision, like to the exact T, like, okay, perfect at every single time. And then you're going to get ear-holed by a D tackle that is just, his only job, not to block the kick. His only job is to fuck you up for your next snap. So it's not even like that. I mean, that was a tough gig. But now they're specialists. Long snappers are literally specialists. Their job is to do certain things. And that one down in Dallas, by the way, has been good for like 45 years. That was his only bad snap I think I've ever seen. Chris Jones figured out that's why you're a team, baby. It's easy to put it through. AJ, we gotta go. We gotta leave. 3:30 hammer. At 3:30, yeah. Good weekend for the boys. Diggs went 4-1. I went 3-2. Dumpy, what you do? Oh, he stinks. That guy stinks. Don't listen to what that guy says.
An anomaly.
All right, 3:30 hammer. Don, youtube.com/the Pat McAfee Show. Michael Lombardi will obviously be joining us. The man knows more about football than I have ever known in my entire life. AJ, we'll see you. Mignon, I can't thank you enough. This has been Overreaction Monday, October 12th. The Pat McAfee Show. Have a great fucking afternoon. Cheers. Good work, boy.
I feel like it's teams heading in two different directions. Like the Panthers seems like they are improving every week, while the Falcons are just falling apart and potentially seems like they're not playing as hard as they possibly can for Dan Quinn. And who knows if Julio's going to play? Like, for me, this is most likely going to be a play for me this week on Carolina. We'll get to that later.
Really?
I love the Panthers.
Guppy, what do you got?
Panthers, their last 21 games, coming off an underdog win, 18-3 straight up, and 17-4 against the spread. I love Teddy Two Gloves.
Pat, what do you think, bro?
I just put a bet in. I didn't even think about this game. I had no idea this game was even happening, to be completely candid. And as you guys were talking there, and you were talking about the two different directions, I think that's very real. That Falcons team, I don't know how long that whole thing stands down there.
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Не хватает оружия, сэр. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Не хватает послания от змеи. Ты все еще жив? Ничего, это ненадолго.
Почувствуй нашу мощь!
Оружие на плечо! Послание от змеи. Похоже, пора
сматываться. Замок горит, сэр! Послание от змеи. Все кончено, друг мой. Ты проиграл. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов. Послание от змеи. Ты снова испытываешь мое терпение. Я уничтожу тебя. Послание от змеи. Ладно, кажется, мне просто стоит... Послание от змеи. Союзникам, поверь мне. Послание от змеи. Похоже, пора сматываться. Не хватает золота. Не хватает товаров. Не хватает оружия, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов. Послание от змеи. Все кончено, друг мой. Ты проиграл. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает оружия, сэр. Не хватает оружия, сэр.
Готов, сэр. Строй. Мы выдвигаемся.
Стоит того.
Мы выдвигаемся.
Не хватает рекрутов. Не хватает рекрутов.
Не вижу. Армия целая.
Похоже, пора сматываться.
Шагом марш.
نحن أبطال. Послание от змеи. Ну что ж, пришло тебе время умереть. Послание от змеи. Похоже, пора сматываться.
Готов, сэр. На плечо. Внимание!
Послание от змеи. Все кончено, друг мой. Ты проиграл. الحصان سريع إلى نهاية الأرض. Послание от змеи. Похоже, пора сматываться. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. 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 Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
Ну, зря на синюю пошел.
Ваша популярность падает.
Почувствуй нашу мощь.
У меня типа 5 врагов против меня было.
Вперед! Бегом!
Даже не заметил.
от змеи. Ладно, кажется, мне просто стоит... Послание от змеи. Замок наш, милорд! Послание от змеи. Пощади меня. Я всегда хотел стать твоим союзником, поверь мне.
Опять еда кончил. Вот делаем так.
В казну поступает золото, сэр. Не хватает товаров. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. 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 Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
Строй!
Сэр! Мы выдвигаемся.
Послание
Да,
от змеи.
сколько можно?
Все кончено, друг мой. Ты проиграл. Замок горит, сэр! Замок горит, сэр!
Люди покидают нас.
Запасы провизии пополняются, сэр.
Казна пустеет, ваша светлость.
Замок горит, сэр! К нам приходят новые...
Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. 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 Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
خيولنا جاهزة إلى نهاية الأرض.
Ваша популярность растет.
الحصان سريع.
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Работник идет на свое место. Оружейная полна, милорд. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов,
оружия,
сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд. Это нельзя здесь разместить, милорд.
Почувствуй нашу мощь!
الحصان سريع.
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов.
الحصان سريع. إلى نهاية الأرض.
Готов, сэр. На плечо. Заряжай. Получай. Хороший враг. Мертвый враг. Можете забыть о них.
Оружейное послание от Змеи. Маленький герой, кажется, у меня есть для тебя сюрприз. Это послание от Змеи. Победил ли я? О, да! Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр.
Стань, сэр. Готов, сэр. Стань, сэр. Готов, сэр. Стань, сэр. Готов, сэр. На плечо. Вперед.
Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Не хватает рекрутов, сэр. Послание от Змеи. Похоже, пора сматываться.
Строй.
Послание от Змеи. Ты снова испытываешь мое терпение. Я уничтожу тебя. Послание от Змеи. Ладно, кажется, мне просто стоит... Пускай. Оружие. Послание от Змеи. Ладно, кажется, мне просто стоит... Пускай. Послание от Змеи. Пощади меня. Я всегда хотел стать твоим союзником, поверь мне. Послание от Змеи. О, пощади меня. Я всегда хотел стать твоим союзником, поверь мне.
Заряжай. Получай.
Оружейное полнамение. Послание от Змеи. Союзником, поверь мне. Мы победили, сэр!
Так. Что время-то? 20:20. Все, уже пора. На работу скоро. Не успею, скорее всего, еще одну каточку. Я так посмотрим, какие там условия, может, не успею. Сейчас гляну. Блин, одного 40 тысяч можно, в принципе, разобрать будет. А здесь проход есть, да? Не, лучше на потом оставим. Потом это пройдем. Спасибо всем, кто смотрел, оставлял комментарии. Очень активны сегодня были. Спасибо большое. До будущих встреч. Всем пока.